just how it ends. Wouldn't you say on every plan, in every way, we're better off this way? laying down my cards on the table, sending out a message in a bottle. Came in through the door like a hurricane, and I hope you won't get fickle, 'cause you swept me up mine. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah. Keeping the shades on though there's dark clouds, 'cause if you look in my eyes you would see it all. And I gotta keep my head over the surface, oh yeah. But your waves pulled me in and I can't hold it back again. I'm losing my cool when I'm here right next to you. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool when I'm under your control. I'm losing my cool. Yeah, I'm losing my cool.
Welcome everybody to the PGS. Now that video says become a champion. Are you a champion?
Absolutely. Every day I wake up and I'm like, you know what? Today's a champion kind of day.
Oh yeah, all day, every day, everybody. And we're actually going to know some new champions today, or at least those that are coming to the LAN, because at the end of this broadcast, our EU and Brazil representatives will be known. And I'm super stoked for that.
Yep, it's always an exciting time. These guys work very, very hard kind of all throughout the year. You only get one shot at this. That's why it can be kind of scary, kind of nerve-wracking, even for these big teams that are frankly supposed to win their brackets.
And everybody's working towards that common goal off in November 16th through 18th. It's HRX, which this time is paired up with DreamHack Atlanta. We got the PWC Console Wars and our Smite content for you. And, if you want to just kind of go around, there's lots of content at DreamHack, which is one of the awesome things about pairing with them. But buy your tickets ASAP. Also, taking a look at the schedule, what we got going this week. It is Tuesday, everyone. Europe and Brazil for the PGS, with Europe PPL happening later.
It's Tuesday, my dudes.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
Let's get it. Europe, Brazil.
Sometimes I don't know what day of the week it is, so I hope that somebody watching
we have that schedule
now,
to help you.
Yeah.
It's really for Gabby.
It's really just for me. I need to know these things. But up first, it is going to be EU for the PGS. And let's go ahead and find out what teams we're going to be broadcasting today in the finals of the bracket. It's Clown Fiesta and Team Cryptic.
Wow, Blazing Hussars. They go out in the first round.
Wow.
I always like to take a little look at the bracket. Get a feel for it, because, a lot of these teams, you see them on their respective week when they're competing, and normally they're just crushing people, right? So it's good to look all the way through these finals brackets and really get a feel for how good some of these teams can be. You might see a team in week 3 just absolutely crushing the competition, but then they get first rounded by some team from week 2 or week 1. But it's time to get into the finals here. This is where all the marbles are. These guys are playing for the cash, the crystal prizing, as well as the spot at the summer round of the Paladins lands.
It's going to be Jaguar Falls up first, and in the semifinal, both of those sets went 3-1, so it's not even like these two teams swept their way into the finals of the bracket. So potentially in for a little bit of a brawl. We tend to see a bit of switcheroos in this part when LAN is on the line, between some teams just amping it up in a way that we haven't seen before, and then other teams attempting to keep up. So I'm stoked to see these two duke it out.
2 frontline bands versus 2 DPS bands. Now the Blasters, very important in my opinion on Jaguar Falls, Bomb King and Drogos, that is. Eevee, not so much. You can still work it here, but it's about the Bomb King, it's about the Drogos. I think it's 2 of their best maps just because of where and how these fights tend to happen. Small rooms, corridors that are about the size of fire spits, grumpy bombs, a lot of control, as well as their damage is easy to confirm.
And the fact that Clown Fiesta were the ones to ban away the Drogos and first pick the Bomb King, I think it makes it very clear where they're going to be putting some of their prioritization as far as those game-changing plays. But on the opposite end, you've got Genos and Anar to start it off. They wanted to lock in that support and that frontliner, and Shaolin and Buck can definitely be amplified by the Genos.
Yeah, it's a dangerous combination here, but speaking of amplification, there's one we haven't seen in a while. Torvald will be locked in last for Clown Fiesta. Picture him doing the same sort of things as we talk about with Luminary Genos with Khan. He's got a legendary called Field Study that provides extra damage, but he's also got one called Thanks Grandpa, which just increases the duration of the shield. So there's 2 ways to counterplay a protection bubble. You either destroy it or you wait it out, because it's only 2 seconds at base, which, it's a lot, but it's doable, right? 4 seconds, the fight could be over by the end of 4 seconds, right? So it makes you choose whether or not you need to counterplay this by destroying it and just going right through it. I haven't seen Torvald in forever, so I'm really excited to see what Clown Fiesta are able to do with it.
He's had these team-based utilities for quite some time. I think it just also came down to other ones feeling a bit more comfortable for people, just a bit stronger. So right now, perhaps because they also have the con, then both of those working together to provide the same thing and try and oppose what the Genos can offer on the opposite end could be the strategy.
It looks like it's going to be Thanks Grandpa, and frankly, I agree. I think when you go Field Study here, it's a little bit... Did he stay on Thanks Grandpa? I just want to make sure there. That looks like it may have been... Okay, so he's going to stay on Thanks Grandpa. When he leaves the base, that's good. So essentially, it can be tough for those stars to align, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of coordination to have to always be doing. Thanks Grandpa, it's kind of like fire and forget, right? Because it just lasts so long. And I think that's a better way to go if they're investing everything into this Bomb King carrying the game. He needs a shield now, though, Torvald. You don't want to let him be first. Hello? Hello?
At least Hopes ended up picking one up onto Music's before he fell, but Team Cryptic, they get 3, make that 4 kills right off the bat. A triple kill for Toot right now, who's just going to help finish off Excentra. So a little bit sluggish at first, I feel like, as Clown Fiesta attempted to run in and offer that oppression, but it kind of backfired.
You know, Shaolin, very performance-based pick. I think it's all up to the player to make that champion shine. And you know, they do have some power picks. Genos Buck, Genos Mave. It's all good stuff. They have a lot of burst damage. You see it put on display right there as Hopes takes another spell. A great wall doesn't quite block off the entirety of the opening, and Khan will just a lot of indecision, Gabby. He doesn't know whether he wants to go in or out.
Nope, and just in that moment, because of it, he's taken way too many shots from Erase, who is able to get that finish off, Hayes being the one to do it. But still, Team Cryptic, they capture the point. Over 2 minutes to go on this push. And I think it was fairly convincing because of the way that Shaolin dominated early on. Maeve knew exactly where to target, but not just that right now, focusing on these frontliners and punishing them when they do have that hesitation.
And that's not something you want to see. You need to have confidence if you're Clown Fiesta to run into composition like this. You have to not be afraid to go all in. Khan is frankly the best one to spearhead that charge. The way I see it coming out is you give this Bomb King the shout. Maybe you even give Khan the shield just to allow him to create space a little bit longer. But it hasn't come to fruition once yet.
Excentra just keeps getting locked down right now. And without that frontliner, then you're putting more onto the grandpa himself, where he's really wanting to supplement, right? He's not necessarily having the easiest time just facing off entirely on his own against this Maeve, against this Shaolin when somebody else is taken out. We're under 1.5 minutes for this to push, but this is already so close, and Erase isn't getting erased at all.
And there's a big pounce, 900 damage. Gonna probably get that one out again. That's why this Khan is struggling so much. This Maeve is going right through his defensive ability.
There's a seismic crash attempt, a double kill for Hopes as he takes from this side little cubby. Toot gets the kill onto Gruncy though, and with that is 2 down on both sides. Maybe Toot can help add a little bit of this extra push, but there's 3 on Clown Fiesta that are all standing directly on the objective, so he's forced to wait for the rest of his team.
Shaolin gonna scurry out here, but he's gonna dump an arrow into Leon before he goes. Continuing to hit great poke shots here. Forcing out Alex yet again, requiring a lot of healing to be dumped into this Leon, not into frontliners, to allow them to poke out or whatnot. 39 seconds on the clock here. No ultimates for Team Cryptic. They invested pretty heavily to try and get that there. Clown Fiesta barely used anything and were able to defend. So if they can just do that one more time, they'll be in a good spot ultimate economy-wise for the next round.
Right now it all comes down to how heavy is this poke going to be. Raises back, gets some nice shots into Hopes, but Hopes is able to back off into the rest of the team with that healing from the Damba as well. But Toot ends up falling. Actually a double kill for the BK player onto the main sources of damage on the opposite end. And that may be just what Clown Fiesta needs to hold this.
And that's how this composition is supposed to work, Gabriella. You need to be able to get this Torvald Bomb King to a spot where they can fight mid-range and just be super tanky and be super lethal. That was what was enabled. Maybe they were a little bit too aggressive, I guess you could say, because look at how that worked when it was just Team Cryptic running into them time and time again. They just hit the brick wall that is the king, and they all go back to base. However, this first fight was more of Clown Fiesta trying to chase Toot around, running into his arrows instead. And Shaolin can be a little bit slippery, especially early on, running Shimmer 3 as well.
I feel like Hopes was maybe ready to just run in right off the bat, and Cruncy wasn't necessarily ready for it on his end yet. So it was kind of a, whoa, slow down, wait a minute, buddy, moment that ended up just firing back on them. But it's still 1-1. They managed to hold that defense, despite it looking really shaky for a while, because Team Cryptic made so far on that push. But once they had those exact angles that you're talking about where Torvald and BK could kind of post up and poke from that mid-range, it was enough. And here we get started in round number 2. Toot being very impactful in the first round, landing some early shots into the Khan, but there's a BK this time a little bit more in hiding, and the ultimate goes to actually crash down on him. Bolka picks up that kill onto Toot.
I don't know if this is going to land. The wall comes out. It's not quite good enough. It'll hit Inara. Excentra trying to frontline as best he can. It's going to require some more healing. Midnight will come through, and no one has died for it.
Luckily, Sustain on the side of Excentra, so he keeps himself alive despite potential enemies lurking around the corner. 54% for Clown Fiesta as Team Cryptic with the Heat Haze actually trying to get these last hits. The heals coming out from Genos, but there's a Dread Serpent directly on the objective from Clown Fiesta. Can Toot Toot shoot through it?
Oh, but the wall, the planet, there's really nowhere safe for Clown Fiesta to approach from. It's 60% to 18 on the objective here, but the ultimates are starting to come up for Team Cryptic. They're starting to fight back.
Ooh, there's some ultimates coming out as well. Erase gets a double kill. Team Cryptic, though, lose 4 right now, and Clown Fiesta are feeling much better about this situation after that team wipe.
It's just, I feel like Hopes versus Toot Toot. These guys just take turns going off in these fights. And unfortunately for Team Cryptic, Clown Fiesta, it's their second time winning a fight, so that means they're going to win the payload this time. Top damage seized by Hopes by a country mile here above Leon. Almost 20,000. He's getting a lot of movement speed. A little Wind Dancer worked into this Torvald loadout. Let's take a look at that Torvald loadout, since we don't get to see him very often. Pretty standard stuff here in terms of the cooldown reduction, the movement speed granted to your targets, but the Glyph of Freedom, I would say Torvald fell out of the meta before those cards came into existence and became a thing that frontliners could run. So it's not a big surprise that we see him switch it up a little bit to run that.
Look at Clown Fiesta right now, though. So much pressure onto the enemy. And Cruncy, he is so focusing on helping out Hopes. I feel like the "oh, I got you" line is one of the most accurate in the game, because it really does feel like, I got you, go in, do your thing. There's a Midnight on the opposite end right now, but we don't care. We just wait our way through it. But Bomb King comes into a bit of trouble. Luckily gets the shield at last minute and still throws his in-hands out. Finally does fall to Toot Toot.
That's the situation right there. That's what you want to see. That's exactly the win condition that this composition have drafted. These two are on an island. They are by themselves. They're not getting a lot of help, but that's okay. That little duo is supposed to win on its own, and you saw that was a really bad fight from Hopes. He got put into a bad spot before he even found any damage onto any of his enemies. And still, that shield was able to come through, put him in a spot where he almost takes down a buck of all champions after starting that fight with about 20% HP.
Lasting so much longer than he would have without that Torvald. There's through time and space directly down the middle of everybody grouped towards this payload, but doesn't clip exactly how they want to. Starting to contest on the defense, but Toot Toot, he's kept to this angle. He's trying to land some of these shots on the defense. There's no real reason for him to get too aggressive in his positioning, since Clown Fiesta is going to be spending this next amount of time attempting to break their way past all of the frontliner, past the Sonara, past the damage from Team Cryptic, as Toot Toot finally gets one onto Excentra. Hopes throws it back on the buck.
Just stay alive here. Just try and stay alive. He sneaks one through, gets cheeky with it, and now he's diving in, picks up the triple kill there. Hopes starting to find his rhythm, and with that, the payload might find its way home.
Ooh-wee, these are hurting from Hopes onto the enemy, and Team Cryptic, yeah, they're on the defense, but somebody's got to pop down sooner rather than later. It's going to be Inara who throws up the wall as well. Another Midnight activated by Team Cryptic, an attempt to disorient, but Alex and Hopes both pick up a couple kills, and with that create the opening for the 3-1 lead.
What is his slash line at this point? He was like 10-6 when we last checked in with him. He picks up 6 in that engagement. Dear God.
I'm pretty sure it was 10-6-5. And then now it's 16-6-5.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, you just added some more.
Now he's 25,000 out in front of his Leon. Dear goodness, 30,000 above the next enemy. The loadout. Can't slow him down. He's got plenty more health than he probably should. He's healing for every sticky bomb. He's reloading a little bit quicker with every bomb he blows up. His poppy bomb's that much closer to coming back off cooldown here. This is crazy stuff. 2 records have been picked up to try and combat all the shielding on Clown Fiesta. So Toot Toot at this point with record 2 will be basically one-shotting the protection bubble, but that is what it is. That buys you like a second and a half, because a full draw from Shaolin, it's costly. It takes time.
A couple morale boosts on both sides as well. That's why we're seeing so much Midnight come out, actually. But here's the King Bomb from Hopes. Takes a bit of damage before he begins rolling, but it don't matter. Still manages to come out alive. Gets the kill onto Musics. And there's a Dread Serpent as well. The Maeve and the Inara have both fallen for Team Cryptic, but unfortunately on the side of Clown Fiesta, they've lost a few.
Hitting Buck for some good damage here. It's going to force a recovery out early on. A lot of damage reduction. Time and space won't connect. Grumpy Bomb goes out to zone, as Hopes just needs to buy time for his teammates to get back. But time is not a luxury in this round because the comeback mechanic for Team Cryptic is full swing.
And Toot Toot, he has been waiting for them to show up, trying to get another fight online. 58% for Team Cryptic. But they're actually over here on the side. They know where Hopes is, and they really want to be able to take care of him. Netshot goes right past him, and Hopes once again has the shielding from Torvald. Just doesn't look like he has a fear in the world when facing off against basically an entire team.
Oh my goodness, he doesn't have to. Letting go of Inara very early. Oh my goodness, Accentra with frankly, a wild mistake down the stretch. His team could have just eviscerated this Inara mid-air. He brings her to the point, immediately lets her go. She slips away, puts up a wall, and disengages.
And then he pays his life for it as well.
What are you doing?
Team Cryptic, overtime, 99% right now, and a lot of it is thanks to keeping that frontliner alive on the objective. Not only did you keep her alive, you're like, here, this is where you want to be, right?
There's 3 outcomes there, I see. 1, you hold her up, hold her still, and let your team pick her apart. Easy. 2, you're close enough to that dark room hazard zone. You could have just yeeted her off the map. 3, you do what he did, and you die, and she doesn't die. And unfortunately for Cloud Fiesta, it's door number 3 today.
Not exactly sure the thought process behind that one, as it's now 3-2 within this fight. So Clown Fiesta were just 1 point away from closing it. But who knows? Maybe they can just go ahead, keep this hold as much as possible. They've done it once before. But the payload's already at about 70% here right now as Team Cryptic attempt to make their way through this break.
And this is a dangerous 1v1 to take, a Luminary Mave. But the late game anti-heal seems to be proving fairly effective, and Alex will win this zone for now at least. He's got a couple of low HP targets in the back line, misses the dash, has the Enlightenment, but stays passive.
Hayes picks one up. Here's another Midnight. As we said, there's plenty of morale boost online to have that nice and quick as Hayes picks up another kill for himself, capitalizing upon that restriction of vision. And there's a couple kills in favor of Team Cryptic as Clown Fiesta. Still a minute to go.
Wow.
And this is not really looking great.
A very valuable Midnight, I think you could say there. Just one ultimate popped. It's already back to 15%. And Clown Fiesta just completely fall to the wayside. You know, all in, easy come, easy go, I suppose there. Incredible rounds for Hopes in the rounds prior to that one. He goes 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was
not what you want to see from your big win condition.
Nope. There was a whole minute to go, but Team Cryptic managed to really capitalize upon that Midnight. Clown Fiesta couldn't do anything about it, going from really that just speed at which Hopes was grabbing up kills. Not as quick this last time, but his 3-3 comes down to 1 capture. Ultimate-wise, a few on both sides. Team Cryptic everything except for the Midnight, which is going to just charge up really quickly, quite frankly.
Looking for a way in, straight to the objective. Khan already finds himself poked out fairly heavily. Maeve over the top. She's going to find what she needs and eviscerate Externa.
That is exactly what she is here for. And with the Khan out of the way, knows the Bomb King is lurking around the corner, so being very careful not to land in line with his shots. Puts a couple into the back of his head when he tries to turn towards the Shaolin. But it looks like Inara is actually chunked pretty low, waiting for herself to heal up before she rotates back towards the objective. And maybe this Bomb King can be cared for, but luckily Torvald is there to apply that shield as usual.
Here comes the King Bomb around the corner. What'll it find? He wants the Maeve. He's going to get her too and find some damage onto Inara while it don't shit. Double kill. Looking like it could easily turn into a triple.
Take out the squishy, then go to the Rock Lady, and suddenly Buck's the only one here. Clown Fiesta, still lots of ultimates if they want them, as they pass 60% onto the objective. Team Cryptic, they have a very small window to make their way back towards this objective.
Hey, there you go. Hold her up. Easy kill onto a raise. 2 more ultimates versus nothing for Team Cryptic. Cryptic don't even get back to the objective. The Enlightenment comes ripping through just for good measure, and I think that's frankly a very solid victory. They played very well around their composition, and they did what they needed to do with those champions to win the game.
So even though it was a 4-3 and there were shining moments for both sides, I think the fact that those ones that were for the Bomb King and for the Torvald were so strong is something that, even if they don't carry that exact composition, obviously, into the next game, it's knowing what your strengths are, and when you do have the opportunity to push them hard.
I love those types of victories when you draft something that's not necessarily meta. Definitely used to be meta. Definitely used to, and I think maybe could be again. There definitely hasn't been a lot of eyes on Torvald in a long time, but Jaguar Falls, like we mentioned, one of Bomb King's best maps there. I think they play beautifully, and I love to see a victory like that. When you pick something, you need to win with it, and you do exactly what you need to do to get the W.
Well, let's find out where our next map is going to be. And it's Ice Mines. Very different feel.
Yeah, this one's going to be a long push here. More or less, teams draft for the point fight, not so much the push. The push is so unreliable. It's such a risky investment to make something for. And even still, it's like it's an awkward thing to try and invest for because most teams won't even put up much of a fight. They'll almost fall all the way back to their base from the get-go, give you 80%, and you know they can at that point they can take like 2-for-1 trades. As long as it doesn't happen very quickly, they'll still be able to stabilize. So look for them to draft another strong point fight comp.
So here we go. Drogos was banned away during game number 1. Not this time around, so Cryptic opt to bring him up first.
That was a big factor that wasn't available, and I think, you know, the point fight on Ice Mines is similar enough to the point fight on Jaguar Falls. There are small rooms, predictable corridors that people are coming through, and you have characters like Bomb King, Drogos, even Fernando, right? The high ground, that little rampart tunnel, is about the size of a Fernando fireball, if you feel me there. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of 5-man fireballs on Ice Mines win the fight before it even starts. You know, somebody's taking 1,500 damage in the back line and dying.
Clown Fiesta decide to stick with their Bomb King, though. A bit of a switch up with Nando as the first lock-in. We still have that Blaster pressure, and Nara as well. So the double front line this time looking very different than the last.
It's going to be backed by a Damba, which is great. You know, Damba Nara, it's got its merits for sure. However, Team Cryptic, they have a very luminariable composition. Luminariable in there. I almost said 4 DPS because I think Tinker and Barrack, against this front line with the Maldamba backing it, Tinker and Barrack is essentially a DPS. He's really not looking to get on the objective until the fight's won, so he's just going to be peeking, hitting those pop shots as best he can with a Luminary mark on him and getting to work that way.
The illuminariable comp against the classic.
Like that?
Yeah, I like it. Damba and Inara and friends. So we'll have to see which one ends up coming out on top. Cryptic are currently down within this set, so maybe if they keep amplifying that damage, it might be their way to a victory.
And now there's no hit scan threat on this map, and you saw what that can lead to if you watched the SK versus Envy games last week. So that's a different story, though. You know, it's on Splitstone Quarry. Ice Mines is different, and that's why on certain maps you'll see Bomb Kings and Zins. Maybe, you know, you throw Cassie in there as well. Those projectile heroes are enough to shut down a Drogos because he's not that fast anymore. No one really runs Worm Jets. And he's just not that far above you at that point. And when you have massive in-hands, you throw those two together, a short range with a big hitbox, you'll find yourself getting out enough damage, I think, to deal with the Dragon, especially with the Royal Subjects picked up.
On the side of Team Cryptic, though, a couple that are going to be attempting to lock down that Bomb King. As Crunchy's on the Nando this time, taking himself off of the Torvald, getting aggressive onto Side-ski Lodge right here, but Team Cryptic recognize him, attempt to fire away as much as they can.
I mean, it's a Drogos versus a Fernando in that small corridor. A lot of blood is spilled, but no lives claimed just yet. 33% on the objective for Clown Fiesta, which is frankly how they need to play this. They just go slow, lean on their Maldamba and Nara to get out in front, scare Team Cryptic, make them panic, and then eventually they'll make a mistake.
Crunchy hasn't really had to back off of this hold until later. Excentra ends up getting the first blood, and Crunchy falls afterwards. So it's a double kill here for Toot Toot, who is on the Drogos, taking himself off of the Shaolin for now, 84%, and climbing for Clown Fiesta. And Toot Toot finally makes a little bit of a step down because Nara's still here, still just claiming objective slowly.
this is early game Maldamba Nara.
Yep.
Buck, let's watch this Buck. Let's see how many shots he can dump into this Nara before he realizes you're not going to do anything to her early game. You probably should have dove on that Maldamba.
Probably. And then
do you treat the source or the symptom?
Oh, definitely the source, always. Especially if it's just a time allocation thing right now. There's a Dread Serpent answered immediately after the Buck Wild. 93% still with the Seismic Crash. All the ultimates that were basically charged up. Finally coming out right off the bat. And Volca here just not even getting taken care of at all. Healing from afar, keeping the Sonara alive, even though Alex ended up falling, still did a decent job of keeping around for the time being, and Clown Fiesta capitalizing upon that very moment, get the capture.
You know, this team, if nothing else, they play very well around what they've drafted, and they lean very heavily on that to carry them to victory. Now, Team Cryptic, kudos to them too, because they kind of did what they needed to do as well. It was 84% before they got it done, right? But they did win that fight eventually. And they weren't able to seize control of the objective even still because Maldamba Nara kept the lid on it all. And can we take a quick peek at the legendaries again? I want to make sure that this Leon is running Death and Taxes. She is. So I think, if anything, you need to focus more on this Sonara. You need, instead of ticking away at this Fernando shield, maybe, you know, switch places with Drogos. You tick away at the Sonara just to keep 90% anti-heal on her at all times.
And potentially, they were sending Leon onto just what they thought were the biggest threats at the time, but you have to kind of think beyond who is just shooting at me right now, who is providing the most pressure that I'm feeling, and who's actually just pressuring that objective. Right now, Array's kind of set up, attempting to hold this defense as the payload rounds this corner. A lot of kind of what can be awkward holds on this map.
110 for sure. This is that spot that I was talking about. This is that, you know, 75-80% of the payload push where most teams just fall back to immediately on the defense because they don't want to get picked. They don't want to get snowballed on. Getting snowballed on is probably the only way you can lose fights on Ice Mines.
Dread Serpent through time and space and enlightenment, all in quick succession. Arrays followed up to get that kill, and suddenly Clown Fiesta lost quite a few of their players. So Team Cryptic, you can really punish a team when you take out 3 of their players on a map like this, because it'll take them so long. And the 2 that weren't killed in that succession finally eliminated with just enough time between them for that stagger.
And there's that's the difference. That's the 90% anti-heal right there coming out from the Leon, making sure this Inara doesn't blast off full HP again. A lot of ultimates to work with here. Cryptic getting a little bit more aggressive with this zone than they have been in times past. The salvo comes out, finds a little bit of damage here. Ultimately, I think they're looking for dismounts here to make this last 10 seconds a very difficult one for Clown Fiesta.
And anyone that isn't Leon wanting to work into that cauterize as soon as possible, because until you can try and just cancel out that healing, the point fights are going to be very difficult for you. You saw even when everybody else was taken care of except for the Inara and Damba, it basically didn't even matter. Here's overtime. Nice damage from Toot Toot. Right over the Inara wall. Has to hop to the other side when he sees Anando making his way towards him. But chunked down below 400, and there's the final hit as Alex takes him out of the sky.
What a beautifully orchestrated fight by Clown Fiesta so far. They are leaning on everyone's HP. They are asking something of everyone. This team is very, very good at staying coordinated, staying calm, and making sure that they have someone left to take up the mantle. They identify threats very quickly and target switch and deal with them.
It was just a very solid read of the situation. Toot Toot, he was getting a lot of impact but wasn't able to actually finish off some of the kills. So I think Clown Fiesta realizing in time, oh, wait, we're still alive. Okay, somebody take care of him so he can't do that anymore. That's exactly what they did. And then immediately after followed up onto the rest of the team. So it was just a nice little, roll into those last moments. Didn't even need to guess it.
Plenty of resilience being picked up by Clown Fiesta here to try and deal with, frankly, what is very little CC from Team Cryptic. And I don't know how on board I am with all of this resilience, because you've got Void Grips, and that's it. That's I don't know why you invest in resilience here.
And they just, when they're all working in quick succession and there's not a lot of space between them as far as their impact in the fights, they've been able to be successful. So here's the Dome Shield, and this is a very classic use of the Bomb King. Oh god.
That was close.
That was really close. So winding up the King Bomb immediately after that Dome Shield, because a lot of times you just do want to blast right under it, take out the barrack, and the shield falls, but through time and space immediately after, making sure that he could avoid that as much as possible. And nonetheless, because he stayed alive, Clown Fiesta, 75% on the objective, and Team Cryptic, despite all that ultimate use, didn't get much. Here's the Dragon Punch, probably wants to find it, Inara, but has to circle around.
Wow, very nice stuff. Here comes the Spite as well. Clown Fiesta are looking to start off this payload push with a bang. Nice relocation to the high ground. This Genos. Suicide is the only way out for him, but Excentra is going to get the last tag there, get the kill credit. Beautiful stuff there from the Clown Fiesta. And again, they go up 3-0, so I don't know if momentum's just going to carry them through or they're going to have to do some work for it, but either way, they're looking like they're in a great spot.
They made like 3 ultimates completely useless there.
That was awesome.
Basically.
They're very good.
Yeah. The
Playing
first
very well.
2 that came out, and then you heard the Dragon Punch get wound up, and you had a response to that as well. So even if you're using your ultimates in those scenarios, you're just coming out on top in every single way, getting the kills. And right now, there's about 1.5 minutes on this push, and they've already actually passed that choke that we were talking about during the last round, that 75% mark, and are ready for a fight.
And they're going to snowball this through. K-Crunchy's coming up on the back line. He ends up falling, but the payload is getting closer and closer. It's going to go right on through.
There was one on the side of blue that tried so hard to step onto it, but then you just saw the HP bar go.
I'm not sure. I feel like I have to be missing something there. 4 people buy resilience for what? It's literally just Void Grip, right? There's no knockback on that Fire Spit. There's no knock up on the Buckley. I don't know what the hell they were buying that for.
Maybe
I am perplexed.
Maybe you had a different talent choice or something.
I'd love to get I'd love to get an answer.
Yeah,
what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something here. Was it Cripple Genos?
Yeah,
over
that's
Luminary?
what I'm wondering. That's the only thing I can think of is if it was the cripple, so that then they have to pretty much because they can't use their escape mechanisms.
Well, it's a victory. Either way you slice it here. That's 2 in a row for Clown Fiesta. 1 more, and they're coming to land.
Here we go. Serpent Beach. That's where we're heading to next. I want to see if they end up sticking with that Bomb King for a 3rd game in a row, or if it's taken away or anything like that.
Yeah, he's had 2 good games on it so far. I think you got to be a little bit more conscious of the high ground, though. Clown Fiesta, excuse me, haven't been drafting very heavy high ground compositions. Buck will be banned away. Maeve is another big one you want to look out for in this draft. She's already been effective for Cryptic once, and she'll be available for first picking yet again.
Yeah, I could see a world where she just goes super early. But it's actually the Cassie. That's the first pickup here.
This is the first time she's been available as well, and some teams just absolutely love Cassie to death, right? They have that Cassie player that just loves it. She's great for this map, don't get me wrong. She sits at kind of that mid-range and just can poke and prod away at you. No high ground movability, so she has to take the scenic route if she wants to get into those repositions, but it's not 100% necessary. I think as long as you have somebody else that can potentially do that job, you don't have to worry about it so much.
Cryptic prioritized the Genos, but this means that the Inara Maldamba combo could be available for Clown Fiesta once more. So far, it's the same composition. They could just be locking into the same and not worrying about like map-specific things and just thinking with the combination of ultimates and everything that they had, it worked out very well.
They picked the Drogos into Leon. Maldamba, Nara, and the Bomb King running back for hopes. So far,
one different.
Nope, right. Now, I don't have any problems with what Clown Fiesta are drafting. I think a little bit more frontline pressure is definitely something that'll help Team Cryptic out. Clown Fiesta, what do they round out with? Maeve is still on the board if that's what they want, but they run the Torvald back.
So Crunchy's going back on the Torvald and
just comfort, I think, at this point.
Had a lot of pressure on the Nando during the last game. Cryptic picked that one up, so might as well go back to this combo that worked out well when they were able to just lock him down with the Bomb King and send them into every fight and not worry about their survivability.
And that's going to be big for them. I think when you look at both of these compositions, neither of them have drafted a ton of mobility. They both have about the same amount of high ground, up, down, vertical mobility, and the Drogos thrust. The Poppy Bomb can still get you there. Hell, the Inara Wall can get a whole team up there if you coordinate it. So we'll have to see if that happens.
Just line up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, 3, 2, 1.
Everybody, 3, 2, 1, jump. Pop-Tart, there it is. Here are the talents coming through. Luminary, Blast Shot, Impulse, Fusillade, Tinkerin, Scorch, Death and Taxes, Royal Subjects, Mother's Grace, Spirit's Chosen, and another thanks, Grandpa.
Alrighty, and now, starting right off the bat. Pretty typical place for these teams to start out. Even sending the Inara actually aggressively. Takes a few heavy hits from a raise though, but the throws down the Warder's field, hoping that somebody's just going to get locked down into it. Nice bomb thrown from afar from the Bomb King. But all the while, Team Cryptic 60% on the objective. They're just chilling right there, so everybody's just fighting over on the side. But Hopes finally gets the kill onto 2-2.
Needs some healing here. Retreats perfectly onto a gourd. Fire Spit doesn't connect. And Hopes just like that, he's ready to rock and roll once again. Team Cryptic, I don't think they were expecting that bulldozer to come through as fast as it did. You had both Inara with Damba pocketing her, as well as this Bomb King with a Torvald pocketing him, coming at you full speed. Force the Cassie off the high ground really, really early, and just like that, Clown Fiesta tied up on the objective.
It was only one kill, but it was enough to get Team Cryptic all with tails between the legs and having to back off. Erase picks one up onto Cruncy. So maybe a little bit of a delay right now. After that double kill, Hayes as well getting a kill. And forward down, Bomb King's the only one, and that 63% could easily climb right now for Team Cryptic.
5 for 1. That's a beautiful team fight there for Cryptic. That 63% that they invested for early on ends up paying off for them. They're going to grab the first payload. And we'll have to see how Clown Fiesta adjusts. They've adjusted in every map so far. But a huge first round for Arrays, as he is basically doubling anyone else in the game at this point.
This was their first pick. First time Cassie was available in the set. And if you're going to lock her like that, you better make it worth it. So far, so good. Nice payload with 2 minutes to spare. It's about to approach that 50% mark. Hopes taking advantage of the high ground and knows exactly where Cassie is. Attempts to throw the bombs from afar, but she's able to dodge them with no issue. Until then.
Rolls back. You know, we talked about selling Caster Curse, Gabby. I don't know if you want to get in on the ground floor of this, but Aggro and I have a big operation. I think that's about to open up shop here.
Oh boy, lot to look forward to, guys. But oh, there's the time and space on the high ground right now. Hopes and the Drogos both eliminated. A little bit of a trade back and forth, and a nice hit Arrays with the help of Music's cleaning that one up.
Luminary Cassie, man, hitting for about 730. It's going to creep on you very quickly. 8 ammo in the clip. Very fast reload as well. You throw the impulse, blast damage, anti-heal all in the equation. You got yourself a first pickable champion. Here comes the yeet. Cross map, though. Fernando with a nice body block keeps Arrays safe.
But suddenly he goes down, and Arrays has to dodge roll all the way down to the ground. Ends up taking out Hopes before he can get that last hit on her to keep her into the grave. But nonetheless, Clown Fiesta still have 4 strong on this defense. But Torvald, oh, a little too weak right there, my friend. Music cleans it up.
And this Leon's in a really rough spot. If she goes down too, she does. Erase is on an absolute tear right now. A 9 streak burning for him. So much damage, so many kills. Let's take a look at his slash line and the damage charts to see what kind of damage he's done. 5-0 start, 44,000 damage in one 4-minute round.
That's a lot.
And you've got, 40 seconds of pregame time. We've gone through about 15 seconds talking about him. So he has surpassed the 10,000 per damage per minute benchmark that I usually will hold up an incredible performance to.
It's looking similar to when Bomb King was about 20k above Leon in the earlier game, and just way out in front, but this time for the Cassie. And on the side of Cryptic, so I'm sure they would much rather be on the receiving end of those kind of stats. Going into the next round, see a couple of wreckers worked into on the side of Clown Fiesta as well. I mean, when you have the Barrack and the Nando on the opposite end, that's probably what you should be doing.
Brazilians picked up early for Team Cryptic. It's going to be very useful in the late game. There's a ton of CC on Clown Fiesta. Torvald, Silence, Hyper Beam, Inara stun, Maldamba, Fear, both of the Bomb King stuns. I think this is a worthwhile pickup.
35% for Clown Fiesta. Here's the Immortal right onto the low, but there's a Dread Serpent on the side as well, forcing the rest of the team for Cryptic to actually back off. A Hyper Beam sends Arrays back, but still lots of distance on this reach. Lands one shot, looking for another as the Enlightenment activated, but doesn't get the kill.
And this is a big 1v1 over here. Drogos tags out, says 2-2, come clean this up, brother, and he does. Rotates with a quick charge, fireball combination. There's the Dragon Punch connecting.
Ooh.
All things good for Team Cryptic as they roar ahead on the objective, 75-42.
Dama can't help you out in that scenario. You have Arrays and you want from one direction, and then the Dragon Punch just comes and slams into Inara's face as Team Cryptic pick up their 3rd point of the game.
Problem was a lot of disengage ults from Team Cryptic, or from Clown Fiesta, excuse me, that didn't end up disengaging. There was a Dread Serpent there, and you just saw everyone trying to run. There was a Torvald Hyper Beam, which, you know, credit where credit's due. I don't think there's much to accomplish with a Hyper Beam on a Serpent Beach point, but he only manages to move one person out of the equation and onto a high ground that she shouldn't normally be able to reach, where then this Cassie's just still teeing off on you from a distance. She doesn't have any fall off. She doesn't really care about what you just spent your ultimate for.
It was a straight back hyper beam, so same angle, just a bit farther.
Right.
So she didn't care as much about that. So we're now Team Cryptic. 1:40 to go on this clock, still moving forward. And you see Hope's in the same positioning as last time, but this time Hayes is getting a bit more proactive with his approach. Nando into some trouble, facing off against Excentra, ends up going down.
128 on the clock here. Rockets go into the dark room. Nice connections as well. 2 kills for Clown Fiesta though. So I think nothing really for Cryptic to do besides back up at this point. Get their full strength under them again. And again, 300 credits when you capture the payload, so this is not the biggest deal for Team Cryptic. When they're going home at this point, they're just solidifying their lead that they've worked so hard to build. They have a couple of ultimates to work with coming back into this, and they've just spent their whole wave of credits. So you know, you're looking at those cauterized 2s, maybe those resiliences getting a little bit creeped up, some damage reduction, all things that are good for blue if they want to get a point on the board.
2-2 and Music have finally broken this kind of line of this defense and throwing up as many shields as possible, but 2-2 has already gotten chunked down to about 25% of his HP. Hopes takes back to the side room, finds Drogos, finishes him off, and now with 2 down for Cryptic, make that 3. Very difficult for them to turn this fight around.
Curious to see how this fight, or this game, I should say, is going to evolve as Wrecker starts to come online for Clown Fiesta. I feel like it's probably just the 2 of them coming through. I want to take a quick peek at the items to see where this Bomb King and this Leon are sitting. See, Alex is only at Wrecker 1. Once he gets, you know, maybe that Wrecker 2 online, these shields are going to fall so quickly, meaning the anti-heal can then be applied much more effectively onto these front lines. And you're seeing Fernando is already struggling to keep that shield up to stay effective on the front line. They need to finish this Inara. Oh my goodness, they do clip her with the time and space, and that's the first kill of the engagement.
Kill, and here's the Dread Serpent and a Dome Shield as well as the Immortal. So all bars being held as Team Cryptic power through and get the team wipe. And that's going to be a win for them right there. No way for the enemy to actually come back and Cryptic keep themselves in the set.
So either not a great map for Clown Fiesta or this Cassie, just too much for them to handle. We might see that one banned out again pretty quickly here in game number 4, because that's what's forced at this stage. And remember, Bright Marsh is one of our bans. I can't remember both of them, but we've already played so many maps here. It's tough to say who's going to have the advantage going this late into the pool.
And they're doing much better when Cassie wasn't there, so
yeah.
Might as well. It might have just been a combination of things, too, because you're saying how once Wreckers got online, it would be a lot more favorable for them, but they couldn't get to that point. I think if they were able to hold that defense, we could have seen them potentially come all the way back. So it was very important for Cryptic to close out when they did.
It's tough to say. I think both compositions had things that fell off late game, like there was so much crowd control to be resilienced later on that I think Cryptic would have had just a good time late game as Clown Fiesta. But let's get to the maps. Let's get this set on the roll here. One more game potentially for the Clown Fiesta boys as they select Frog Isle. This is their map pick. You would hope that they're able to get the victory here.
So I guess this is what happens when something like Ice Mines comes out early. Then you still get the Frog Isles and stuff in game number 4.
You have to imagine Jaguar Falls was Cryptic's pick, and they just lost there because the 4-0 on Ice Mines, you don't see that being Cryptic's, like, they get one guaranteed map selection. This is the one we want, and we're going to get 4-0'd here. I just don't see it. Cassie banned out. First and foremost, Clown Fiesta have had enough.
The little princess goes bye-bye for now. And Clown Fiesta, with taking Khan off of the table here, so they don't want to waste one of their early pick, rather, on the Khan. And he's been banned away pretty much since game 1, I believe. And the Inara's been working out. Even though last game didn't go in their favor, I think they felt fairly confident, and especially since Cryptic has mostly been opting for the Genos by choice, as they do so again, then you're pretty guaranteed to get your Maldamba combo.
I think it's fairly smart here from Clown Fiesta. Now they have that space. They can afford to not pick up Maldamba at this point. I think Buck might be something worth looking at, but at Clown Fiesta, I think they're just in that comfort rut right now. They're just going to pick what they're going to pick. and let the Buck potentially go back to Cryptic. Buck Genos can be rough to deal with on Frog Isle, but it can also get shut down here. Fernando comes through early, so maybe another front line to help hold this down, but there's not a lot left on the board.
And if you've been sticking with a lot of the same picks, Inara, Bomb King, Leon, Maldamba, this is the third game in a row that they're bringing this through, then that's the last pick is where you're going to be making the change. And not wanting the Torvald, in this case, it's the Ruckus.
Yeah, and I don't know how well that's going to work, to be completely honest with you. You stand still against this composition from Cryptic. You're eating 1,800 of the Dome from Strix, 1,400 from this Luminary, Fuselage Drogos. And I didn't even put the Luminary math on the Strix shot there. That could be really, really difficult to deal with for Ruckus. I'm curious to see how he's going to be able to do it. It's definitely a character that can box out with this Buck fairly effectively. But ultimately, he's going to have to play lines of sights very, very carefully.
Let's see how it goes. And they picked Torvald for 2 of the 3 games so far. And right now, deciding to opt away from it, but I don't think that that's necessarily why they lost during the last game. So I don't know if they were comfortable with it, maybe bring it back, but just too worried that it wasn't going to bring that level that they needed it to. So instead, the Ruckus with that damage potential.
Here are the talent selections. Unauthorized use for the Strix is the only one that's we haven't really had the chance to see. Rocket Barrage as well from Ruckus. And these guys will head out with that in tow. Couple of Cots, couple of Wrecks. Overall, good item selection, I think, from both squads. Remember, Death and Taxes for Leon provides you with Cauterize 3 right off the rip.
Should be able to get this early point if Clown Fiesta play it right. But a nice early shot as Inara makes that early rotation. Hayes is the one on the Strix, and right now he has a pretty good idea where most people are. 2-2 gets the first blood onto Crunchy. So 39% as Inara stands strong, but now everyone's making the rotation, and including Hayes deciding to be here on the low.
And I think we might see that in the kill feed a decent amount. Drogos slays Ruckus. Anytime you want to be offensive with Ruckus, you have to stand still. Even if you're not firing, it's not like he's going to miss every rocket there. These 1275s are going to come raining in before you know it. Up over the wall here. Eats one from the King, but lands one in kind. 72% already on the Dragon Punch. That Fire Spit connects, charging even further.
Just has such a great lock on this side stairwell axis as well. So when you see anybody on the enemy team attempting to poke out, they find some fire right in their face. And the Bomb King immediately with the finish up from Erase. Not going to be around for quite a bit of time. Nara getting locked down as well. 66 to 87% on the objective in Team Cryptic. All they got to do is take the Inara off and they should be able to capture.
And when you look at this composition, as Hayes picks up a beautiful double kill there with a quick scope. You got Fire Spit salvos, you've got just shots from the Talon Rifle that if they're not finding kills outright, which they have been for 3 kills prior, you have this Luminary Buck to move in and to clean things up onto already panicked targets. So Erase is jumping onto people that are likely half HP or less, who aren't looking to take a fight, who are just running away like a chicken with their head cut off. And those are just easy shots to land. It's not an easy duel to win for Erase.
And Erase had actually hopped into like 3 members of Clown Fiesta onto a side where his team didn't all have lines of sight and did just fine. So with this Buck potential, it's been pretty good for him. And then a bit of support from the rest of the team right now, locking in to this kind of spawn area. Hayes picks one up. A minute 45 to go on the clock, but the payload's still pushing on through as Clown Fiesta finally make their way out of the doors, but they're going to have to do a bit more than that.
They're working their way through 137, and Clown Fiesta not putting up much of a fight here. They had their trick on Jaguar Fall. This composition is basically the essence of what they've run all day. But as you get later and later into these maps, it's clearly not working as well for them. Predictability, again, it's inherently a weakness. And as Cryptic start to adapt to the same composition game after game after game, yes, those might be your best characters, but if they're not good for the situation or you're getting counterpicked, which I feel like they are a little bit, especially when you're looking at the Ruckus here. 0-3, 0-3, 0-1, 1-3, 1-3, a very tough round for Clown Fiesta.
No one really knows what to do with the Strix, I feel like. He is 4-0-6, so is Erase. There's just too many threats that Clown Fiesta I feel like they don't know where to focus. They kind of send Accenture to the point where say, oh, let's go with that strategy. Let's just hope, we keep her alive, and then we go ahead and capture, and it's going to all be fine. It doesn't matter how many picks they get nor how much damage they pull through. In the end, it was just too much pressure from these DPS players.
Not against Drogo Strix. You can't really get that done. Already dead. Dragon Punch deals with an aura fairly effectively, I would say. The Talon Rifle forcing these frontliners even further back. Fernando charging in. And this is just Clown Fiesta rolling over. They don't have an answer.
There's Big Guns and the Dread Serpent and the Seismic Crash all in quick succession, as it looks like Tutu actually is forced to back off. Here's the King Bomb rolling, not really sure exactly where to go. Ends up just taking a little bit of a breather in the meantime. 84% for Team Cryptic, and Clown Fiesta start to aggress forward. Even if they're not getting the kills, they are actually offering a bit of that positioning, but Toot, he just takes out Crunchy again.
They get a fadeaway kill there, 55% on the next Dragon Punch. As long as Cryptic play smart here and literally just play average, they will still win this fight. They are so far ahead. They get a lucky pick as Toot fades out of that fight. 14 streak burning for the Drogos player up over the top of the fire spit, putting in great damage onto Ruckus. Again, this is the counter pick we were worried about there. Ruckus finally turns it around with a little help from the King.
99% to 84%. Clown Fiesta with that comeback mechanic helping them out. And Crunchy, because there's no Drogus around in the meantime, has the chance to finally do what he was drafted to do, as Hopes, Crunchy, and Bolka all pick up kills and Clown Fiesta capture.
There it is. Finally, Clown Fiesta come back. A little help from some ultimates there, buying them the zone, and they're able to seize control of it. And in the panic that the comeback mechanic can create, you can obviously seize that opportunity. Team Cryptic, I don't know. I feel like still this is their game to lose, in my opinion.
It just shows how much work that Drogos was putting in, because as soon as he was killed off, then I feel like Crunchy was like, oh, I can do something now. All right, guys.
Finally, better late than never.
Yeah, now I can finally have an impact here. And with the comeback mechanic in place, it wasn't difficult for them to capture. But you can't always rely on the Drogos being down. And right now, he just took out the Damba, and Music Stick went out as well. So anytime that's happening and Crunchy has to be a bit more conservative with his play, then that's just a lot of damage potential, of standing potential frontliner that you're missing out on.
And he only died because I think he just got over aggressive there. He went forward, he thrusted forward straight into the back line, took a 2v1 against Bomb King and Ruckus, almost killed the Ruckus, but ended up dying there. I think, you play a little bit smarter, you just take your time. If you're Toot, you realize that you're a huge win condition, and you dying is not what Team Cryptic need to succeed. You just play a little bit safer, and that doesn't happen again.
Payload's rounding the corner, though, and Team Cryptic, they start to make their stance for this next hold on the defense. Buck taking a lot of damage, has a bit of sustain, ends up hopping back, and Crunchy, despite getting gripped up by Ryan, tries to get as much damage down as possible, kind of knowing that his death was right around the corner. And Raze and Toot have been a great combination right now. And on the defense, same as it was when they're on the offense.
Hold after hold here, Team Cryptic. Not costing a lot for these defenses either. You can see just the flare down, and flare is pretty much an inconsequential ult in my opinion. I think it's really just to help this guy stay alive. If he gets dove on by anyone, maybe it's the Ruckus, maybe it's the Bomb King. It's just going to bail him out of a rough situation. But I've never seen Flare win a ton of fights, partially because Spectator doesn't show you how blind they are. It shows you the little dazed star thing around their head, but it's like I have no idea what they can see.
And sometimes you can tell based on their movement, but that's just a lot of inferring that has to happen. Crunchy picks up a double kill. And here's the Dragon Punch, actually circles around. So Team Cryptic, though, it's 3-1 for them as they get this defense.
That's good. I mean, you spend the Dragon Punch for it. Cake Crunchy was right there. Could have maybe kept that one going. He had Hexafire available. I think the confident play would have been to get close to that objective. Hexafire to deter the Dragon Punch. You couldn't have, you're CC immune, so you couldn't have been pushed off of it in any form or fashion. But Clown Fiesta, I think they're definitely wanting to hold on to those ultimates, keep the comeback mechanic enabled, and not take any risks.
Yeah, with comeback mechanic, that could be enough. But like you said, I think when Drogos died, it was a bit of his own aggression that led to it. And they got to get him down as soon as possible. Know where the Strix is as well. And it's been a fine time, and Nara's been spending a lot of time on the objective. That hasn't been the issue. It's just, and that's how they get, even without comeback mechanical, all the percentage, but it's just not enough time to actually get that 0-100 that they need. Lots of early damage onto Raze, but luckily has that sustain. Seismic Crash hides around the corner in the meantime. Ryan picks one up onto Bolka, 54% for Clown Fiesta, but they lose 3 of them right now. A double kill for Raze, and Team Cryptic, they just are able to cut that off right at the stem.
Jesus, love that rocket from Toot Toot there. King Bomb gets nothing. A lot of things going wrong for Clown Fiesta. They tried to be the ones that engaged, but it may be a little forced, I guess. No one really out of position for Team Cryptic, so small adjustments are made to absorb all the impact of the aggression, and it's just turned on his head with ease.
There's a Dread Serpent on the side, was very targeted, 54 to 87%. Crunchy locked on down in that Hexifier and takes too much damage to boot.
Nice.
Luckily survives in the meantime though. Exentra, Alex, and Crunchy all picking up kills. Suddenly 4 are down, and there's just a Buck who's separated from the objective, jumps on just to try and get this, but Clown Fiesta capture.
Great stuff there. They come roaring back in, try and use some of the aggression to counter. The Hexifier gets just enough peel to stay alive there, and that's, I think, what was key. The Leon rolls forward because there was a Strogos, obviously, you know, just peak shotting this Ruckus, getting easy damage out. That counter was really important for her to slide forward, shut down Toot Toot, who's been huge. I think every time he's died is when Clown Fiesta are winning these fights. And again, it sucks to be so all in on a champion, but Clown Fiesta have been doing it all set long.
It looked even for a moment like Ruckus was going to fall and lose a lot of the value of the Hexifier, but it was just enough that they needed. Regardless of what kills he got, it was everybody look at me and focus down, and then the rest of the team was dying. Now Clown Fiesta, a minute and a half to go. Toot Toot got taken down again. Hopes, though, as well, and Crunchy. So actually, Team Cryptic, though, missing a couple of their players, and the rest of them are forced to back off as you see the frontliner is nice and extended in front of this payload.
Hey, Crunchy is being so effective when he can move. When the Strogos is dead, I mean, this is his fight to lose. He's been incredible. I was going to say, if Hopes doesn't die there, I think they get that payload push guaranteed, but they do it anyway. 9-6, this Ruckus is staying, even though he's had such a rough game. Outside of, you know, the slash line there, he must be just confirming these kills. He's 5th or 6th on the damage charts there. That was the big moment, though, that Enlightenment slaying out Toot Toot, slide into the back line. Alex picks up a big double kill, puts a lid on the healing this Buck can do, and lets his team clean it up.
It's a whole different fight as soon as Toot Toot goes down.
Yeah.
I feel like once he's eliminated, whoever kills him, it's like, Crunchy, go, 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 go! He's gone!
Yeah.
Let's do it! And now you're in that final point where there's no comeback mechanic or anything, but just try and repeat that again. You have the Enlightenment online. You have Dread Serpent, almost to the King Bomb as well. Here's the Dragon Punch,
Just back it
nice
up.
and early. Yep, just go away.
Back it up. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, so he
Nice.
ends up just taking to the sky because he knows he can't reach any of his targets. Doesn't even have any good damage to follow up on it. 900 into the face of Exentra, but she's just around the corner right now as nobody steps onto the objective just yet. Nara wants to make the way through, but very aware of Toot Toot just lurking.
There's so much damage, and when you looked at the damage chart, you saw, you know, 40,000 damage ahead minimum. There it is, though. That's the big pick on the Toot Toot. Clown Fiesta, I think this is their moment. The Hexifier on the side is good for 1. King Bomb is good for a 3rd.
You locked lots of them down. Now it's just a Strix and a Genos, and they're all the way on the opposite end. So Exentra actually moving forward aggressively at this moment, send somebody else to the objective, hoping that that high HP pool is enough where Team Cryptic can't make their way around it, knowing the Dragon Punch isn't up just yet, though it shouldn't be long before another. But you're at 75% right now, throwing down the Dread Serpent, and Hopes here blocking off this Buck on the side.
93%, 96%, finally getting in there for the overtime. This is it. Team Cryptic are trying to hold. They pop their Immortal. They find 1 kill, but Hopes answers back.
They take out the sustain on the opposite end, so Buck's the only one that's going to have an easier time keeping alive in this scenario. Finally getting some objective control, moving into the face of Exentra, who almost goes down, but luckily has the wall to protect. Toot Toot chunked down low as well, healing back up, and suddenly all of of that momentum that was brought by Clown Fiesta looks to be getting countered just a tad.
And unfortunately for Clown Fiesta, that's the Dragon Punch coming back up. They don't get this kill. Here it is again, roaring over the top. It's good for a kill. Onto a frontliner. Hopes answers back. Overtime is started, but it looks like it's going in Team Cryptic's favor.
Yeah, but Nara finally made her way back, puts up the wall for a moment's time, but Toot Toot doesn't care about any walls, just drifts right on over. And that is going to be Team Cryptic taking this and pushing it to a Game 5.
I think the mistake there from Clown Fiesta is that Dread Serpent. It goes onto the high ground literally with just the intention, I think, of slowing down Cryptic. I think if you hold that and use it more effectively on the, either for the take back, either you back up and concede the point there because, Cryptic are coming in with the intention to kill you and their intention to use any ultimates that they might have. That's fine. That's how you got in this position of advantage, right? They came in with that first intention there with the Dragon Punch. You just backed up, right? You don't give them anything for it, right? You do that one more time, re-engage with the Dread Serpent. I think that was the way to go for Clown Fiesta, but no use crying over spilled milk. It's time for Game 5.
Let's see where it's going to be, friends. It's Splitstone Quarry. And I feel like in those moments, it can get pretty crazy too, because you have all this speed and this thought going in your head, but the actual capture is going to move at a consistent pace.
Sure.
And it's almost as if they're thinking, the faster that we get them down and the faster this happens, the faster we can capture. Well, you're still going to need a set amount of time on the actual objective.
Yeah.
And using everything in that first portion, leaving yourself open and vulnerable in the end, made it difficult for Clown. So now we're going into Game 5, clean slate, down to 1 game.
Cassie's going to be the first pick. This time, though, for Clown Fiesta. And a Kinessa ban shows small adjustments here. Cryptic go to the Bomb King as well. So, you've got potential for another blaster. But running that into the sniper, running the Drogos into the sniper can be very costly on Splitstone Quarry.
And the Bomb King, going to be weird kind of seeing it on a different side other than Clown for the first game in this best of 5, which leaves them Buck. So Cassie and Buck with the Nara at this time.
And you have to assume the Genos comes here for Cryptic. They've had it every game this set. And you have to hope that Hopes gets on this Cassie and not instead of the Bomb King. You have to hope that, the Cassie was the first pick replacement, because it sucks to get into that rhythm of playing 4 games of Bomb King and then have to just make this big switch up. They get the Drogos as well, which is something they haven't had because they've had Bomb King every time. And it's something that they could definitely lean heavily on.
Maybe that'll be enough. A bit of flip-flopping with these compositions. And remember, Clown Fiesta, they took the first 2 games, so Cryptic, they're looking for the reverse sweep right now. And it can get frustrating if you took the first 2 and you're thinking, we just need 1, and we came so close during that last game.
I hope that's not what puts them in the dirt here today. I will hope that wasn't the nail in the coffin. I think Clown Fiesta have played a very good set today. And maybe just been a little too predictable, maybe running back the same compositions, but they make their big switch here. K Crunchy will be on the Cassie, Alex on the Buck, Hopes still on a blaster, so use a lot of Drogos for him.
And there's Ryan on the Genos again. Royal subjects for Toot Toot. See how he can fare on this Bomb King. And then Hayes once again on the strings. I liked how aggressive he was getting during the last game. It's a bit of a different map this time around, so it's not as easy just to hop down on the low and then back off into safety again. If you go down, you're kind of fully committing to that strategy. So I see a world where he just tries to take to those balconies a bit longer, and Exentra gets the first blood.
And it doesn't happen without that fire spit, long-range fire spit connecting all the way down this corridor through this small little door. So Hopes with a great help, great assists on that first blood. Taking down Fernando is going to be very, very important. Solo frontline this time for Team Cryptic, and they'll have to be very careful with this Fernando's life, because if they don't have him, then this happens. Sonara stands here for free.
Finally starts to take some of these shots, but even when she does, enough healing for the time being. There's your wall. You got to get yourself healed up. 87%. A final rotation from the Nando on Team Cryptic, as Hayes and them were focusing on this frontliner for so long. And here's the way that you push off. Music's getting that kill.
Great shot there. Sets up Toot Toot to get the kill on the Drogos. 87% for Clown Fiesta, but Cryptic are in control of this objective for the time being.
But Cryptic, 57%. They should be able to match it soon. Toot Toot gets a kill onto Alex. Actually jumps down to the low after backing out of that situation. Just count your chickens and say, I'm happy with how that went in the meantime. And you're waiting for Hopes on the opposite end to have his game-changing play. He did have that really great play early on, but right now hasn't been able to really refine his opening. Music picks it up onto Crunchy, 99% for Team Cryptic. Overtime sets in. It's a 1-for-2 trade right now as they actually pick up another onto the enemy support. So with that, Team Cryptic get the point.
This is just running into the meat grinder at this point there. Clown Fiesta accomplished nothing with their take back. And I don't know, maybe it is the switch up in the draft here. They're not looking quite themselves here. Granted, there was a couple of unfortunate things. I think Maldama got picked there because I was watching Inara down on the objective. I was watching her fall lower and lower and lower. She throws up the wall, throws down the Warder's field. I'm like, all right, here comes that Maldama healing. Any second. Oh, nope, he must be dead or something because this Inara just gets brought down on the objective. I don't remember when he got picked off, but that was a big moment for them not being able to just juice this Inara back to full HP.
There's a through time and space, manages to get Hopes as well. Frenzy falls too. So Team Cryptic, they're just landing their stuff a bit harder, getting that value from through time and space, and with that they're able to round this corner pretty much, but it is a nice holding opportunity for Clown Fiesta because of the nature of this portion of the map. But I don't know, it's a lot to ask for a whole minute and 25.
And waits for the flare damage to come through there. Stays alive for just a moment longer. Ends up actually getting his kill. This Bomb King gets the frag as well and then fades away here. You get through Inara and you're good to go here, but it's Maldamba Inara in the first round, and so her health bar isn't going to budge.
And even though Hopes has had a hard time in some situations, enough damage right now to actually force everyone to back off. Alex takes down Toot Toot, and Team Cryptic, a minute to go on this push, but even though they had like 3 against the Inara for a short time, it wasn't a long enough time to actually delay until the rest of the team on Clown Fiesta was able to join.
45 on the clock now. Clown Fiesta with plenty of ultimates to work with to try and hold this defense. And you definitely have to think about momentum at this point. You're right, this is going to be the reverse sweep for Team Cryptic. They've gotten a taste for winning and they like it, so they're not going to let it go without a fight. Clown Fiesta, they're just struggling to hold on to get something on the board at this phase. You know, Frog Isle was their map pick, Splitstone Quarry is their map pick. But as you get deeper and deeper into the map pools, you get less and less confident. Obviously, you lead with your best foot forward, so these aren't exactly the strongest maps per se for Clown Fiesta.
Alex just tried to venture on forward to take care of Toot Toot, but couldn't make it in time. Everybody just collapsed upon him.
Oh, no.
So final seconds, but 2 down for Clown Fiesta. And with that, Excentra looks like they're running into a bit of trouble as well. A couple more shots and they'll go down. Luckily, throw up the wall, which is enough time for Alex to rotate on back. The Immortal activated as well. And Toot Toot looking for another target. Takes down Alex. Team Cryptic wanting so badly to push this through.
Great rotation there from the King just to keep this overtime going, but I don't know if Leon's got what it takes to keep this alive. Ryan gets the frag. Leon is still here. Genos is still here. This Inara can't decide who she wants to shoot. She's not getting healing from Maldamba. Buck comes over the top, and Nate tankiness is enough to sustain her. Clown Fiesta will hold the defense.
And it also came down to, there was, I think a majority of that fight, there were the same number of players down on both sides, but Clown Fiesta was on the defense. They're able to get back to it sooner rather than later. And the ones that were alive, like when you have an Inara alive against Genos and Leon, who are both just chunked down so low that they can't really afford to just stay on to the objective enough, then you're kind of winning out in that head-to-head.
Yeah, it's an awkward spot to be in. Excentra, pretty sure, is running full HP cards in his loadout because he's at 5150. No, just actually level 3 there. So even with that, though, the amount of damage reduction and self-healing he's got through Stone Bulwark, this Maldamba, and just innate tankiness, it can make it turns this 5150 into much, much more effective health.
And actually, last time was so close to being able to capture another first of the round for them. Throws a Dread Serpent onto the side, and Excentra's the one getting a bit aggressive right now. Finds the Strix, locks down. And Team Cryptic, they lose a lot of their damage potential early on.
I think that's probably worth it. He can be very tricky to take down. Alex has to dive it and basically be alone in that dive. Now he can afford to just sit here to zone, not have to worry about any sniper fire coming through, sidesteps the Enlightenment, and then rotates out.
Onto the high ground nonetheless. Nice shots raining in. 87% for Clown Fiesta. That's where it gets stopped in the time being. Alex lasting just a little bit longer before he gets eliminated, and overtime It's going on down. Toot with the double kill, though, but loses 3 of his teammates.
I mean, Alex and K-Crunchy just throw away their lives in that fight. I don't know why. I don't know where he heard that King Bomb starting, but he basically ran straight towards it. It was just like a weird rotation to make into a King Bomb. As well as the fact that you've got this Cassie who then rolls to the door to take a 2v1 and loses horrifically. And then it's an easy rotation for Toot on the objective to clean up the rest of them.
Yep, and in the end, 54% still continuing for Team Cryptic. Clown Fiesta so close to taking that. Maybe, I would say Exentra really good chance of taking it back to them, but right now can't even get out of the side cubby before taking a lot of damage. There's a seismic crash, but loses the life immediately after a Dragon Punch to follow, trying to find this Bomb King. Does find Toot. Alex with a cleanup onto the Genos, and 3 have fallen for Team Cryptic as it's 99% on both sides, and Clown Fiesta capture.
Okay, Crunchy comes back in, picks up the double kill, makes up for past mistakes. Nice flick for the 3rd kill in that engagement. And it's all good for the Cassie player. Finally starting to see some signs of life. And you remember back, you know, when Cassie was first brought into this set on Serpent Beach, the impact that Team Cryptic were able to have with it. K-Crunchy hasn't had that impact thus far, and you need more plays like that out of your first pick.
And granted, right now on the push, it can be difficult to find consistent angles, and that puts more pressure on you to land the shots that you are able to peek out and get. As the payload does actually pass right under the bridge. Crunchy taking a lot of damage, though, and Erase picks up the kill.
Plenty of time to work with here, but with K-Crunchy going down, not too much oomph left in this push for Clown Fiesta. This is probably the most difficult corner to break on this offense. And it's time to crown a winner in this best-of-5 set. It's 2-2. It's all tied up. The reverse sweep, a potential here for Team Cryptic. Clown Fiesta just trying to finish the drill at this point. They came out to a roaring start. 4-3 win, but a very solid 4-3 win. I think they played very well in game number 1. And then a 4-0 on Ice Mines. What resilience from Team Cryptic to be able to bounce back this far.
And also keep in mind, everyone, whoever wins this is going to be coming to the Summer Split land. So that's where you, I feel like, see a bit more of these brawls. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the PGS Finals games this week do go to Game 5 or Game 4 and such when they wouldn't normally. But both these teams clearly very hungry for this win. But that payload, that choke that you were talking about, had a difficult time getting past. Maybe now with 2-2 down, Clown Fiesta can find an opening.
And here comes Alex. K-Crunchy, huge fire spin, connects onto 3. The salvo gets the kill onto the first 2. Dear God, Hopes just ripped the life from everyone on Team Cryptic.
This should be Clown Fiesta's point, guys. You can see Toot. He knows he can't do anything by himself. The rest of the team spawns up at the very last minute. And Clown Fiesta going into this round 1 point away from victory.
I mean, and he's only at 49,000 damage, too. He probably did 10K in that fight. Jeez. No troll. I mean, a 3-man salvo spit, he almost deletes. That's 6,500 damage right there. He gets another kill. I mean, there is no other character. There's almost no character in the game with ultimates that can do that type of damage. Enlightenment is the only thing that keeps that Leon alive. He dumps another 3K into that Fernando. That's a 10,000 damage fight right there from Hopes.
Those numbers.
Which is crazy, because he's still, again, only at barely under 50K. So he's been struggling up until that moment.
Well, you saw so many times in the fights, he couldn't actually really poke out from anywhere. But hopefully right now, Exentra starts off with an early seismic crash, still taken to the side before rotating. Team Cryptic, many of them on the high ground, not even trying to pop on down immediately. Dodges out of the through time and space, though.
You got to stay alive there if you're Drogo, so I think it's a worthwhile thrust. The Dread Serpent comes through, hits absolutely nothing. Immortal is forced by the Dragon Punch. Hopes disengages successfully. No one knows where he's at right now. Salvo Spit is up, but he's just trying to find the angle, trying to play this one safe, but time, again, not a luxury here with Comeback Mechanic, and Cryptic just disengaged. They've got a buck in their back line, and beautiful job distracting by Alex.
Yeah, too scared. They said, oh, there's this guy that popped up behind us. I guess we should back off of the objective, and Clown Fiesta says, okay, that's fine. Exentra, go chill out there, take your home back. And you can see Musix wants to find his way in, but you got to keep these eyes on Hopes, figure out exactly where he's raining in from. Raze is moving on in. Excentra finally does fall to Hayes, though.
Nothing for the King Bomb there. Hayes just with the big connection and the combo in the back line. Hayes finds another frag, and that's probably it. Team Cryptic, comeback mechanic, engaged. Alex trying to get in here, stall things out, make something awkward. Forces an enlightenment, which is fine, I suppose. I don't know if it's going to turn this fight around. Fernando falls on the objective. Wall goes up, but the angle is still there for Inara. She's getting a lot of healing, but a better wall there would have kept her alive. Hopes finds 2 frags, and Inara escapes.
Overtime once more, a double kill right now, and Hayes is actually on the
No
low ground, but gets taken out.
way.
Clown Fiesta, they've got Alex, they've got Excentra, they've got Bolt. Looks like Fernando tries to make his way through, but he's just a lone soldier in front of them all as Excentra throws down the Warders field, gets the heal in the last moment, and Clown Fiesta earned their spot at the LAN.
I don't believe it. I really don't. I thought that fight at least was dead to rights. I think there was definitely still a chance for them to win that game. That was a bad Inara wall. The angle of it doesn't protect her from Strix at all, and that's really what you wanted for ultimately. I think the biggest misplay there comes Hayes. He throws the flashbang, assuming that gets the kill. Never assume Inara is going to die until she's actually dead. He switches targets preemptively, and I think that's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, game number 5. That's where Clown Fiesta takes it home. And you saw the way that...
Well played.
Yeah. Strix, because he thought he got that kill immediately. If you do get it, it's great. He's moving forward,
Right.
jumps down, tries to get aggressive. But the fact that that didn't get the kill made that play just end up being pretty reckless. And Clown Fiesta, they're the first PGS team that we know now to be joining us in Alpharetta.
They played very well. I think what you do now is in the next month or so, you practice other compositions, right? Because the one that they have, they play very well and on those maps, and definitely practice those couple of maps. And it's going to be a long road at LAN. It's not an easy victory. Nothing is free at LAN. But I think they played very well and are very deserving of their attendance now.
Well, that was just our first set of the PGS. We do have Brazil coming up next, so everybody stay tuned.
Let's make the most of this night. Come on, baby, take my hand. And we don't need to do the
It's the
Fade of
party
music out.
boys. What's up? Welcome back. It's me and Gormizer, Rain Day and Gormizer here. Evan Rayner, William Newberry V, to cast the PGS for one of our favorite regions, Brazil. We just saw EU have a fantastic Clown Fiesta, so to speak, and actually qualify Clown Fiesta for our land. And we're looking to qualify one more region here today. In Brazil, the winners of this best of 5 will be taking a spot in July's tournament. So we're super excited to see them. And William, I think, super excited to see how Space Station Gaming have improved past their last experience here a month ago.
And I'm kind of curious just because we're coming into this, and I know Space Station, I haven't gotten to see them since they changed a little bit in their roster. The last time I got to watch them a few weeks ago when they actually qualified for this was with Aries still on the team. So I'm kind of curious to see them come in, if they still have them when they played here, or if they have made that switch. Because I feel like this will be kind of a show of whether or not they've visibly improved.
I've definitely heard of the Akot switch. I think that's who they picked up, and so we will be able to see the bracket and check out exactly who they'll be facing off against. It'll be Space Station versus Guima's Academy. And Space Station taking basically 5 games to 0 here in their route, 2-kill game, and I think Princess of something.
Princess of the Realm.
Of the Realm that they took
That was a
down.
name I got to see last week. We didn't get to cast them, but I still love the name.
It's a nice name. Maybe next time we'll be able to do it. Of course, this is the one that matters. So we'll be getting into the maps and the picks and bans very, very shortly here. And William, to me, it's always exciting to see this team that has, made themselves a fan favorite, not only in Brazil, but across the world, due to their, I think, charm, to their charisma, to their determination to be a contender, and definitely after getting some big wins last time they were here.
And I feel like that conversation really started when you roll back, you go to PwC, and you're looking at them the first round, and you're like, all right, well, the Brazilian team versus Fnatic. You think, okay, Fnatic should have this one. It's going to be kind of cut and dry. And then they win a game.
Yeah.
And then they make the second game go on incredibly long before they end up losing it. Same thing with the third one, where it's just like, these guys aren't someone to mess around with, because that's Fnatic of all teams that they're keeping up with. And nowadays, that's the team that everyone's talking about. SSG is the one I think most teams are afraid of in the international scene, up there with Burrito.
It certainly was something that people noted, right? The fact that, yes, they lost, but it was their loss against Fnatic, and they played well during that loss.
Yeah.
And so that carried over into their ultimate, I think, respect at LAN in May. And it ended up being a fantastic performance from them, running through the losers bracket there. I believe heading against, it was either G2, I believe, that they knocked out, or they ran up against Envy. I forget how that translated, but they had a fantastic run, and they did beat G2. So huge. I mean, already a top team in the PPL, wasn't having a great time with the War Doom switch coming up, but still showing that they have a chance as long as they can get back. And that's what they're trying to do today.
Now, Cassie, Maeve, Genos. Honestly, that's looking like a good lineup for pretty much any team.
Nice.
You grab the Barrack, and this is one of the things I'm wondering if they're going to go for it. Yeah, so triple DPS using Barrack as your solo frontline. This is a thing a few teams, specifically Europe, has been able to pull off and accomplish, and I feel like that's something a lot of other teams have to look at to make sure that they can kind of bring that in. They know how to play against it or play with it, because using Barrack alone, it gives you a little bit more aggression, but it does kind of put you in a dangerous area of you lose your grip, you might get knocked out.
And I mean, a lot of pressure on Guima's Academy as well. Names that maybe we don't know. Obviously, a new name for the team, new organization representing here. A lot on the line. A trip to Atlanta, obviously in July, towards the 19th to 22nd is where they'll be flying out and participating in this Midsummer's Masters. And it's extremely, extremely important. You see Zmash and Dentic. So Akot was not actually playing at this moment in time. We'll see if that switch continued, if Aries is back. Maybe it was a trial run. But Aries, FRZ God, Dyron, Rachal, and Mittal are back together again. We'll see if that lasts, or we'll see at least if that gets the qualification going.
Good shots so far coming out at the very beginning. You can see, I mean, Guima's Academy are playing this well. One of the things about Ice Mines, though, is that I feel like it's not as centered around the point and how much % you can get on there. That's going to give you a little bit of an advantage, but the problem is you get too aggressive, that's what happens
and
to you.
Mittal's so good at just, holding the pace until it's time to move. And Aries now able to move so nimbly with this Maeve. Dentic spotting him out, knowing he wants to get to the back line, but already so much damage. Zmash forced to hide. Dentic finding Mittal on the aggressive flank, but now he's faced off against FRZ God. You know what they say about him? They say he doesn't show up unless he knows he can take you down. And just like that, Zmash is in a very bad spot. He knows he's around the corner, but doesn't know that he has no idea where he is.
Good shots so far, just being able to hold this. And FRZ God has been pretty much the talk of the town. A lot of players have said that, if he gets a little bit more time to play Paladins every single day, he might just escalate into the best blaster in the world. And right now, just being able to give you a kind of a taste, I want to say, of what he can do. Bomb King, very good in the right hands.
and FRZ God certainly is the right hands for the king. Dentic rocking the brand new Abyssal Lord Drogo's skin in Paladins, a fantastic skin in this latest release, The Rise of Furia. And I'm surprised it's actually competitively available. I know there was some talk about some of these explosions and sounds being a little difficult to hear, but I am glad it is being seen. It looks so good from afar as those rockets rain down, and finds a kill onto the opposite blaster, and a double kill there with the salvo as well. Dentic holding off the press from SSG.
A really good angle for that entire fight, the way that they were playing it, just because you're holding them off at just the right spot. Around the corner, they can't hit you. You're a blaster. You can hit them all you want. And because of the nature of it, Maeve not going to be able to get those long-range daggers unless you give her a little bit of room to work with. Bomb King can't throw those bombs that far unless you give him a little bit of room to work with. You close off all of that space. Now you push him back. You're holding this gate. And this is probably the worst chokehold to have to break through if you're on Ice Mines.
And the thing is, Dentic's so good at zoning here, but, who else is really good at these long open spaces is Mittal and Cassie and Maeve, who doesn't have the reload. They're getting pressured out, but one right blast shot, one angle from FRZ God's going to force Zmash back. There's the Midnight as well, and they know they have to retreat since Zmash is low. Moving in with the King Bomber. Chow finds Nada. Another one through time and space will connect. It's not going to find the full kill, but it will put them in a position to pursue, to pounce, to collapse onto the falling Guima's Academy. It looks like they are not acing this Ice Mines test today.
Just being able to get aggressive there, getting a little bit of space, and now you're moving forward. FRZ God and Ares collapsing in the corner, and they're going to be able to find two, pushing forward. 45 seconds left on the clock. That's plenty of time for this push. And with kills coming in the way they are right now for Space Station, they have a very good control on the flow of the game.
And it's the drafting, but it's also the patience. And it's the style of play that Space Station Gaming have adapted to, knowing that they've got to go through the big dogs in Europe or North America. They cannot wait around and sit on their laurels being the best in Brazil. They know they have to make a statement. They're playing for their country. They're playing for so much more than they were playing for just a few months ago after their recent success and kind of rise to exposure here. As the Dome Shield comes out, they're pushing for it. Space Station Gaming really have to take down Dentic though to do it, and that's Ares with a double, and it's a 2-0. Just like that for Space Station.
And that was a perfect example of two things, but the main one is Maeve's mobility and how difficult it can be to lock down, especially when you're someone who's shooting projectiles. Even when they're a little bit faster than they used to be, Drogo's has trouble keeping track of her with that movement, just going right under the dragon, being able to kind of keep that up. Maeve has been formidable in a lot of instances. 5-2 on Ares, 4-1 for FRZ God, 4-1 for Mittal.
Yeah.
The team's not holding back.
No, not at all. And you like to see that. And it's Ares back in this lineup, which, we had seen him being played by a cop, but we don't have that type of sometimes insider info to why that switch had been made earlier on. We thought maybe it was permanent. Obviously, after a loss, you would assume a lot of teams made roster adjustments. Maybe this was something they were looking to try out. It didn't work out potentially. Maybe Ares filling in for a caught now. But that seems less likely considering the fact that this is a qualification round for the big deal. So I would assume this is their full roster. Ares is on it. And maybe whatever happened with the caught was just a temporary shtick. Immortal used and a Dragon Punch, finds a kill, but is it enough?
You start off a little bit early on. One good pounce right here is going to be able to help find a kill. Nada going down, but that does still leave 4 members of Guima's Academy still available. And this is one of the big issues. You have comeback mechanic, you're on Ice Mines, and you get that early 2 kills. That sets you up pretty well.
Oh, but it's such a good play here from Ares. He gets the kill onto Zmash. He hits the Midnight as well. He touches the point. He avoids the fire spin. Everything inch perfect by this Maeve play from Ares, and I don't know whether he's just a man enlivened, I don't know whether he's a man inspired, but he is running that Demonette Maeve skin. They seem like they've bought some skins with some crystals, and with the Reanimate on the point, it will be a difficult fight. There's still so much to do, Gore.
Right now, all they need is maybe a Maeve, the presence, and a pounce to be able to get rid of that. Nada not looking like he's going to be able to live long, especially under threat. You can't guard everything. Power Siphon goes down, and SSG have lost 3.
And I mean, this is crazy. Richao, Dyrant finding another one. The Reanimate is coming here, and they've got to get back onto the point. That may have just secured it. And boy, oh boy, is that ultimate good when you save it for the right time. Nada says, not here, not today. You will take Nada from me. And he finds the point for Guima's Academy.
And honestly, having that ult at that moment makes the big difference there. You die off, and immediately you see Barrack. Okay, I can walk right back in. Didn't have to leave the point in the first place because there was no threat of damage coming through. If he had his barricade up, maybe could have made a little bit of a difference in terms of how they fight. But as it is, just that presence, just the space you create, gives you a lot, which is why Dentic, again, has been very important for this team. A lot of what they've been doing is just pushing Space Station kind of into areas they want to fight. Unfortunately, Space Station have also wanted to fight in those areas, so it's been very comfortable for them.
And a rather close fight despite all of that, with the comeback mechanic where they're capturing a little bit faster as Darius just deletes King Kaiser there, LOBR, and they find themselves in a spot where 1 minute and 30 seconds remain on the clock, ticking down before Guima's Academy run out of time to push this and tie the game up. It will turn into a 3-1 at that stage of it. Checking in with the items, it's cauterized 3s for King Kaiser and Dentic, as well as Rejuvenate for Nada to keep himself nice and healed up, thanks to Outlander's consistent support from the backside.
FRZ God has gone into Nimble instead of either of the members of Space Station Gaming picking up a cauterized 3, so he's getting a little bit of extra movement speed, which I honestly just have to feel is he wasn't feeling mobile enough, maybe not because of the map, not able to use the Poppy Bomb in the same manner we see kind of on Serpent Beach and other areas. So at this rate, just kind of giving you a little bit of movement boost so you can feel maybe back to your full self.
Well, you know, a lot of people starting to see the value of Bomb King being able to use that card that allows him to rampage after kills and get that extra movement speed, that 4 seconds of maybe moving 30-40% faster, and being able to really collapse onto enemy fights. And you know what? Sometimes when you take reinforced casing, we talk about this as a bigger conversation, Gore. When you look at that loadout, he's spending 5 points into 70% crowd control reduction. A lot of people say, oh, he's getting it for free, but he's giving up the ability to chase fights that much and saying, I'm willing to spend 900 credits, maybe 1,800 credits in order to capitalize on that movement speed I've lost in my cards in order to somehow regain it back in my gameplay towards the end.
And a lot of that for me goes into, I want to say the same conversation that Cassie should be in, where it's like, well, you can go 70% crowd control reduction, or you can go full into your blast shot. Which one do you really want to focus on? Bomb King's kind of in the similar area. You can give yourself crowd control reduction, but you give up all of that other. So a lot of Cassie players kind of have two loadouts.
Absolutely.
They say, right now, this one that's a CC-heavy team, I know I'm going to be the big target of a lot of it, so I'm going to go into my loadout that keeps me safe. I'm going to make sure that my somersault comes up on cooldown when I get too low. I'm going to make sure I have CCR reduction, or CCR, and just keep myself alive. Or I'm going to focus heavily on blast shot, and I'm going to kill you before anything can happen to me.
And it's a game of checks and balances, and also, you know, pros and cons as far as building your own loadout and itemizing. What would you rather do? Where would you rather find the value? Because, you know, there are items that can give you speed and items that can give you crowd control reduction, and there are also cards that can do it as well. FRZ God feeling that the early game crowd control reduction a little bit more important for him, especially on that stun from Zmash, that Dread Serpent from Outlander, than any of the actual movement speed. But now he's got Nimble 1 or 2, 13th Street, and he finds an easy look at the Terminus. Dragon Punch as well. This is an isolated dragon, and it could be a dead Fernando here as the 2 Diamond Space comes out. It's just a little late, but they find the kill anyways onto King Kaiser.
Going to be able to find that King Bomb. Ultimately not finding the stun there either because of the Immortal, but at least getting a lot of pressure, pushing Guima's Academy back onto the point. And now they're trying to get into that hole, but it's, again, you're just sitting on there. You have comeback mechanics, 66% and rising. SSG have to move faster.
And this is where, you know, Midtown probably has the advantage because he can poke. He's got the vision. He knows where Shaolin is, nullifying the stealth that he may apply. Going straight for Dentic, knows he's the dragon in the skies that needs to get taken down. Ares finding a double kill off the pressure, off the vision. Rachal gets another one as well. King Kaiser finally finding the Cassie, but I dare say, despite this double kill, it feels just like it's not enough to really offset the damage that Space Station Gaming has done.
93% is the number it has been stalled at, but with Space Station Gaming getting the hold they have, being able to get aggressive, and the map kind of lending them its favor and its length and how long it takes to get back to this point, that 93 looks much smaller when you're now at 87 and being able to potentially get a lot of snowball kills right here.
And so much zoning coming on, and Nada forcing himself to the reanimate early, and that's the problem. Because he was first, he got burned down because he had to go to the point. He had to take the damage. He could not play aggressive. He could not play tactically, and he goes down just like that. Midtown finding the kill onto 2. Ares finds King Kaiser. Oh, and that'll be Space Station Gaming all the wiser and all the more with an extra point in their pocket in this set. They will go 1-0 up and now have a chance to win 2 more games and gets it to Atlanta in July.
2 more maps, and I doubt we're going to be going to like Splitstone Quarry immediately. I feel like that one's a little bit later. So Ice Mines, I think, is going to be kind of like an isolated feel right here. Maybe if you go to Frozen Guard, you can at least get the snow kind of consistency, but in terms of longevity, length of the map, and things like that, This one I think is going to go different. I mean, I'm expecting Frog Isle, Jag Falls, Bright
Yeah.
Marsh, things like that, where it quickens up a lot more.
And, you know, rough start, I think, if you are looking on the side of Guima, is because you have an opportunity to push this game. You're on a little bit of a roll. You get completely stalled. And at that point, that was where all the momentum was lost. After they won that second round objectives, pushed and then wiped thanks to Aries on a double kill. And I think Aries, again, showing himself that and his team that he deserves to be here. He's a guy that we've seen dominate in many areas of play, especially the PGS. He did well, I think, for them, flexing onto the solo, the secondary frontline role with playing a lot of con at LAN. I like that they've trusted him. They've kept him on the roster, and that has worked out for SSG thus far.
And flexibility, again, to me, is the thing that really qualifies you. If you want to become someone that, in my personal, best player in the world, it's how flexible are you. It's like you can be best flank in the world, best DPS, but if you want to be just best player in general, I'm looking at Bugsy.
Yeah.
How many champions can Bugsy play competitively and still win with his team? It's just that kind of area. If you have someone who can do that on your team, that's what I think brings you into that kind of Fnatic world-class conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, Bugsy at this point, he's almost a Realm Royale pro and a Paladins pro. You know, I mean, this is the first guy to compete with two hands in two different games at the same time in two different tournaments. I can't wait to see it.
Last week he played
stream on two different platforms.
He played Talus, which was just baffling. And then he goes into Con next game, and I was like, well, maybe he's big Talus, big muscly Talus or whatever. But it's two completely different kind of play styles, and I think that's what you need, someone like Aries that can do something like that, where it's just dude, we need you to play Con this game? Cool, I'll play Con this game.
I mean, he's got it all. And SSG right now, they've got everything they want to. I mean, running back almost the exact same lineup, the triple DPS, the cornerstone being Barrack. The thing that I like about teams working Barrack into their lineups is that he's always going to be available. You're never going to have somebody rushing for Barrack. You know, Khan ban, Makoa ban, and Nara ban, Terminus taken, those Fernando taken. These are going to be champions that are prioritized. But Barrack, not going to be in that conversation. Damage is going to come before that. Healing priorities are going to come before that. And they're just saying, let me get a Cassie, let me get a Maeve, let me get a Genos. And we will work with this Barrack so well that it's looking like a threat and not really a weakness for them at all.
I'm curious to see. I think it's going to be Shaolin, but where FRZ is going to find himself. Yep, it's on the Shaolin. So something that I think still fits his playstyle, still something I think we've seen him be very successful on. Not a blaster, though.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit of different play from him. Bomb King was the first ban this time around, so they're taking that away. But again, Aries, Mitao, Dyra, and Richao are just running back what they just played. They're already comfortable on these.
Have people gotten tired of Street Justice, as far as tired of complaining? Is it as big a deal as it was before? We saw it kind of take the storm. I don't know. You know, take the wind out of the sails of a lot of people's play styles and say, oh, wow, this is just so good, you got to play it. Have people gotten used to it, Corey, you think?
I feel like they've not only gotten used to it, but gotten in that area of, and this is how I feel kind of about Makoa, can we deal with it?
Yeah.
And that's my big question. If you can deal with it, does it warrant the ban? There's some players, no, you can't deal with Makoa. That guy is insane on him. His team is too good. You give Makoa to Thiel, he's never going to die.
Right.
You give Makoa to, let's say, 8th seed PGS, maybe you have a little bit more of a chance. It's a very wide range of, is he going to be good enough to warrant a ban? Most of the time you ban him just as the default. Maeve, I think if you figure out how to deal with her, you can do it. But that's not the way.
No, that's not the way at all. And Aries knows so well how to just, find these moments, find these angles. It's very different to Drogos, because I feel like Drogos, when your man runs up at you, hits 3 shots, or woman, however you play, and hits 3 shots, you're dead. He hits 2 shots, you're dead. But Aries has got to be a lot more tactical than that. He can't shoot you 3 times and absolutely destroy you. But what he can do is find damage onto 3 different people. He can rotate at the right time to find a burst pounce, and then maybe switch to the other side of the battlefield. Focus on the Terminus, force Drogos back into a bad area. It's not as obvious, I think, the domination from a Drogos player to a Maeve player, but I think the Maeve player can be just as impactful.
And honestly, you want to look at the champions they're playing. Buck, honestly, 1v1, he can take on Maeve.
Yeah.
Drogoz, again, 1v1 in the right scenarios, he can take her on or she can take him down. But then you look at Terminus and Fernando.
Yeah.
No, that's just not going to work. Power Siphon and your shield do not block her bounce anymore.
Yeah.
And that is just one of those things, you can't stop that damage from coming at you. You are stuck in this position that everyone else is stopped, except for her.
Wow, super dangerous Dragon Punch here. He already knew the second he started, he knew he was not going to get that off. Tries to get the salvo off as well, but cannot even land before getting taken down out of the sky. And FRZ God really playing it close as well. Only about 200 health to his name. as he found that kill. Beautiful shot, 1,400 damage, getting the Luminary plus the Desert Shadow bonus damage. Misses the easy shot into Z-Mash, but it doesn't look like it's slowing down Space Station Gaming anymore. FRZ with a double. Space Station Gaming with a 2-0 lead.
I'm going to point and just say one of my favorite things in this game, and being able to watch, especially competitive players, teams like Space Station, is watching the tracing in midair. And when they do hit those shots, being able to watch someone like against an EV or a Buck, anybody, where it's just, how do they trace him? How do they figure out where you're going to go? Like, watch that arc and shoot you before you land. It's one of the things that people don't think about it. I want to say for them it's second nature, but when you are just getting into it, or honestly even if you've played for a while, that is one of the more difficult shots to really connect.
Absolutely. And you know, it's got to become second nature to where you can connect them at a high level game like this and do it consistently. That's what makes it so exciting. You know, the time, the effort that's been put into it on his end. FRZ God and the rest of Space Station Gaming yet to die, or in other words, Guima's Academy yet to find a kill. This needs to be a different point fight for them as they push, but both players, actually all three, stay mounted. And now aggress onto the Fernando, who's been isolated here. If the Maeve can join through, it's an easy kill. Midtow finds it. Now can they keep Dyron alive? They cannot. Nada finds the kill there. So what can FRZ God do to make this trade as favorable as possible? He holds off, but they see him. Misses the shot, and that was crucial.
And that was one of those awkward moments. There were 3 targets, and he didn't know which one to go for. Finally saw Maldamba at low health, but at that point it was a little bit too late. You kind of choke away that last shot, so those streaks now getting burnt down. There's going to be another one as Guima's Academy come in burning, but Space Station got 81% in all that time.
It's a lot, and you know, they take the aggression, they find an early kill on the Fernando, which is huge, and they buy time, and that's what it is. At this point, hopefully with this much time and the midnight, you can aggress on different angles, and you won't have to take too much poke damage before you go in. Here's the problem, though. Dragon Punch lined up, but he's only half health. Dintic has to be careful. The Immortal comes through from Fernando to keep the Dragon alive, and they find Rachal, 81% still for Guima's Academy, turning into 93, but can Space Station Gaming get alive? They find at least a kill into the Dragon, but there's still so much work to be done.
A lot being taken down right now. I think it's FRZ God versus the world, and it's not going to last long for him there. That should be a point for Guima's Academy. Just good kills and systematic. It felt like Space Station really rushed themselves back into the point, got very separated. Barrick was on his own. Then you just kind of force the hand of everybody else. Oh, God, I got to roll in to make sure overtime stays there.
Right.
I got to go in. This Dragon's in the air causing a lot more trouble than I really thought he would.
Yep.
And that just gets you kind of rolling into your death.
And a lot of, I think, respect given to Drogos, admittedly, and Dintic, especially. Him and Akkad have played with each other quite a while. Akkad obviously playing earlier this month with Space Station Gaming for whatever reason. We don't know. But just high levels of respect for these veteran Brazilian players who have been in competing in the PGS and at this level for a long time. And I think maybe just the over-distraction of that. There were a lot of other targets. They needed to get rid of the Buck. King Kaiser, great rotation from him to find Ares and get this Maeve down, not once but twice in these fights. And that really, I think, helped to keep things in their favor despite having a couple moments where FRC God was able to find the trade.
So far for me, this kind of thing that we are witnessing, where it's you grabbed a point, and then your payload did not move very far at all. Saw it on Ice Mines once, you see it here once, and that just shows, I want to say, the level of the comeback mechanic and how much it really plays in that fight. You win one good fight. They win that handedly on their own skill, but a lot of it is still kind of pushed forward with the fact that, okay, you have comeback mechanic, here you go. Now see if you can find that when you're on equal footing on the payload, and right now you see the strength of Space Station just holding them back.
And I think you're seeing Ares getting the better end of King Kaiser, who's stayed alive in a 2v1 for a long time there. And that is just the matchup that needs to be won. I think if Ares can find that kind of natural predator to him, the Buck, who can withstand so much of that damage from the pounce because he has a lower health pool, he has higher damage reduction, so it's not going to be as deadly onto him. If he can stay out of this fight and Ares can have room to roam, it is going to be a completely different Space Station Gaming domination. We're going to see that no-kill round if that can happen. The problem is it just didn't happen last round, and they've got 30 seconds to make sure that it doesn't happen again if they want to keep this lead.
Real good daggers coming down from Ares, just in the right spot at the right time, being able to hold a lot of angles that even when they aren't connecting, it's just that threat. When you watch 2 daggers fly through the door, you're like, well, I can't walk through there now. Because he is watching, waiting. Now, though, Guima's Academy going to be able to get a little bit of pressure. They lose Barrack on the side of Space Station, so you're starting to push this forward, but you come through this last arch, you're going around probably the hardest corner on Jaguar Falls, and you're just now going into overtime.
And Rachal is back. They bought enough time, and this is just the perfect approach of damage. Ares just shows up out of nowhere like a cat in the dark and strikes at his prey, and Dentic doesn't see it coming at all. How could he? It happened so fast, and just like that, a potential offense turned into a guaranteed defense. And this is Space Station Gaming again in a position to win this game, you know, sub 10 minutes-ish. And this is that play. King Kaiser finding an early kill onto Aries, rotating and helping finish off Rachao as well, which made such a difference.
Good positioning from their team, and I feel like it's been kind of a synergistic push and pull between Dentic and King Kaiser, where it's just Drogo's, I'm either going to push him towards you and you can hit him with a Fusillade rocket, or they're going to get pushed towards Buck where a shotgun's going to meet him. And there's not really one you want to choose. There is no lesser of two evils. They're both bad for your health.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what you got to see towards the tail end of that. And if you can lock Space Station, even just one or two members into a scenario like that, you then can put yourself in a position to lock the others into scenarios where they have to choose one or the other. And because of plays like that, you have to isolate Rachao, Mitao, Aries, someone to be able to get yourself just a little bit of a lead.
And you could see King Kaiser and the rest of them pushing this right side and a little scared, I think, honestly. FRZ God and Rachao find a couple of kills, and Aries has to actually rotate. He doesn't see where he went. He thinks he goes left side, but actually FRZ God runs into the room. What a lucky turn of events for him. He's going to stay alive, and Aries is going to find another kill, and this is really the Space Station Gaming that you don't want to let out of the box.
I can't think of a harder target to hit than an invisible Sha Lin with Midnight going, where it's just like, not only can I not see past 20 feet in front of me, but I also can't see you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're even harder to hit because I have to just focus on the sound. Didn't work there. Z-Mash doing whatever he can, but there's the Dome Shield.
And there is Nada doing absolutely nada for his team. 99%. Space Station Gaming had this one in the bag from the beginning of this point fight. King Kaiser coming in, and it would be a day late and $1 short for his side. Gets taken down immediately. Dragon Punch, more like Dragon Lunch for Rachao and the rest of the Space Station Gaming squad. They're on break. Festivities happening, and they are only one game away from going to the big show in July.
I wonder what a dragon has for lunch.
I hope sushi.
Usually, well, I was thinking live sheep.
Oh.
That tends to be what they eat.
I may be charred. I think, grilled.
Charred. They come through, they burn them.
Raw or grilled. I was thinking sushi,
I think it depends on their mood.
That's right.
It might just be raw food all the
a little
time.
churrasco.
Or maybe it cooks. I don't know how their fire
Fogo
works.
de sheep.
When you eat something, if it cooks itself on its way to your stomach.
I don't know, dog. Fogo de Chao doesn't have sheep as an option, so I'm not even sure, what that's about. But of course, Serpent Beach. Speaking of snakes and scales and sushi, you can find them all there in the water or in the statue or in the sky, apparently, if Drogos will be played again. Map 3 could go to SSG, and they've won both 4-1 in the exact same fashion.
I don't know why, but snake sushi sounds like something you'd either get in Florida or Louisiana.
Okay, if, you know how some certain dishes are prepared, where the thing that's being eaten is live in front of you, although it's been cooked, such as a pig roasted on the fire spit, and then now on a table, and you're maybe having sections of it now on your plate, but you're looking at the live pig. Or a fish, right? You still see the head, the eyes, but the fish is cut, and you're taking pieces. Would you, A, eat snake?
Nope.
And would you, B, eat it if it was live on the, not live, but, dead live on the table?
No
No
to both.
No to both.
I do not like snakes at all. I
No,
wouldn't want it
not
anywhere near me.
adventurous.
I'd be like, if that
Same.
was served, if anyone ordered that at the table, I'd probably just leave. Be like, sorry guys, I'm out.
I might leave. I might not be able to eat at that table, even if there was a dead snake that was once alive on the table.
Especially if it's looking at me. Then I don't want anything to do with it. Snakes are evil.
It's a big snake. I'm the type of guy that doesn't even trust animatronic sharks in the water. Like, if I dropped in the Universal Studios tour pool and it was like that fake Jaws shark came up, I'd actually be like, but what if it's real? But what if it's not fake? What if it malfunctions? What if somebody is a crazy sadistic guy and they traded a real live shark for a fake one?
All it takes is one worker having a really bad day.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't heard of those before, but that could be the next thing. I mean, that would be a horrible, horrible thing.
That would not be fun.
Can you believe it?
I wouldn't even want to read about that.
You know what? As a kid, as these drafts come through, I used to think, man, there was a pool in my aunt's house, and it was so deep you couldn't really see the bottom. And I always thought, man, what if somehow there's a crazy animal in this pool?
Yeah.
A fish, a shark, something. And I just couldn't know. And then I would jump in one day, it'd be so deep, and then come out from the deep end, and I'd be like, oh, God, this is the day.
This is the day.
It all ends.
There's
Evan's
a shark
story,
there now.
It's cut short.
Unfortunately, Evan was eaten as a shark, and We actually are Bioshark, and we actually have you, living on as
I'm
him.
animatronic Evan. That's the twist. It's Evan World.
His story was cut short, but we didn't want to end it yet, so we had to keep it going.
Well, that is that's an Academy Award-winning script waiting to be written and waiting to be starred in as well. I found my calling, Gorb.
To play yourself.
To play myself
in a movie.
the film. Yes. About me being turned into an animatronic human being after being eaten by an animatronic shark.
In a pool.
$50 million.
Admitted.
That's the sale price. Talk to me, Warner Brothers. Dentic here playing his brand new Androxus skin. This one is straight off of the Rise of Furia as well. It is the Fallen Angel Androxus. And it's basically the theme of an angel who has kind of gone out of heaven's graces, fallen to the dark side a little bit, maybe messed around with the Abyss more than he should have. Missed Mittal, maybe punishing those sins by finding his healer, Outlander. So this Dentic is kind of all by himself here.
But in a good spot and being able to find some good shots. Might be able to find Dire in here, but you can tell the team really collapsing in. Does get the kill, but he's in a bad spot. Mittal going to be able to clean him up immediately after the point. 51% good control because Mittal's just sitting up here free-firing so far as this Leon.
And Z-Mash a really good bomb king. They've got to be careful, and this is how you handle it. You send all three. You send 3 bodies over there, and you force him off that high ground. You cannot let BK control that. He's got too much area control. He's got too many sources of damage and escape to be able to be that far breaching into your backline. 57% for Space Station Gaming still. Ares forced into the shell shield. Hasn't used the spin yet, but he's getting tackled and luckily healed up at the same time and still making it out alive.
Being able to take so many shots and honestly move around, but Mega Potion Pip is good for a reason, and that reason is exactly what you just saw.
Yep.
Huge healing in terms of health bars. They can go from 0 to 100. Unfortunately, the cooldown is something you do have to deal with, and that feels like Dentic actually dashed not only away from the heal, but into the air right in the open.
I mean, the problem was actually the heal went to on somebody who was full. Nato was full health right there, and he has his battle shout. If that heal goes to Dentic, maybe it's a different story, but they lose their top fragger in the backline. Ares trades out with Z-Mash, who as well was keeping so much of it, and I don't know if they have enough damage to finish off these chickens. He goes into it, but I think he's going to pop back out, and they do. They don't get anything off that evil mojo, and one heal sometimes doesn't make the big difference score, but in this fight, I think that might have been it.
And honestly, one of the other things I'm noticing, and specifically comparing the last 2 games, Ares on Maeve, to what we're seeing out of King Kaiser, different positioning, different tactics, and different approach to playing it. It kind of feels like in this area of we know Maeve is good, so we need to get her so they don't have it.
Yeah.
But it's just so awkward when you try to bring that in because Ares made it look so clean. He just played it like it was nothing different than something he's been playing his whole life. And probably not his whole life, considering how old the game
Ever
is versus
since
how old he is.
He was a young boy dreaming of animatronic sharks. And,
Ares has wanted to be a Maeve man.
I mean, hey, Maeve is definitely a fan favorite. And, you got to say that the reason somebody is a fan of something doesn't come out of nowhere, right? You kind of recognize something that you enjoy in your life from the past, and that person represents. So, yeah, maybe Maeve or some aspect of Maeve was something he enjoyed for most of his life, and now finally just saw the perfect embodiment of it in a Paladins champion. You never know. I certainly don't.
Maeve's one of my favorite champions. I'd give her that just because she's very fast in terms of her gameplay.
Fast, agile, sneaky. It's like a Gormizer cosplay right there.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm like. That's how I describe me.
Are you cosplaying Maeve this year?
No, Maeve's cosplaying me all the time.
Well, Space Station Gaming are cosplaying LAN invitees right now because they are 2-0. And another 2-0 will put them into the Princess's Ball. Great stuff from Mittal. I also think that, you know what? They need to do something and get a 4-0 here. They had too many 3-1s. They haven't been able to close these out. They've been good on the second try. But I think this is time to end it here. And Guimas knows that as well.
I like the loadout. I feel like we've been seeing a lot of variety in loadouts for Leon. Highborn, I think, has kind of just gone up to the top. A lot of people like just the base movement speed. It's one of those things that she has so many okay cards, right? Because her kit's so good,
that's
and her
true.
talent, specifically Death and Taxes, is so good that a lot of her cards are like, well, you know what? I'll just play this to me. I'm going to augment like 3 things, and they're going to be, I'm going to own that for this. And so Mittal really just going for kind of movement speed and keeping himself alive.
Yeah, I mean, I think okay cards make for some harder choices because nothing really makes that significant difference as much as something else. Mittal knows his aim is really going to be the difference and sees that Maeve poking at him, but not afraid of King Kaiser. They've got control. They've got a full wipe. And now this is a completely different start to a point fight where it's typically gone in round 2 the way of Guima's Academy at the beginning. And Space Station Gaming have had to come back.
Here comes the ult so far, going to try and hold them through. Rachel goes down, does use the reanimate though, and immediately goes right back down. So maybe buys some time, but does not get a lot from that ult.
It's a tough player to do that against too. Khan just battle shouts the damage and, not aware of the cooldown or maybe just a little bit over zealous there. They definitely would have had a chance at it again. Ancient Rage is well popped by Ares. This may be showing some of the nubile decisions from Space Station Gaming, playing at this high level and needing to take this up a notch at LAN for sure if they're going to beat teams like Fnatic and Na'Vi, who will punish these types of decisions so efficiently they won't even know what went wrong in the tape.
And I think we're seeing kind of a balance of everything, where on one side, Makoa being played, showcasing some of why he can be beaten and why he can do well, whereas Khan, on the other side, not showing a lot of what he can accomplish, even on his own, if given the opportunity. Right now, 93%. You have to get on the point if you're SSG.
You do, and you're not. And again, this is it's you know what? It's a great start. They finally make adjustments on the start, and that's what it is. Paladins Pro gameplay is just about making adjustments and learning to be better. And right there, you see FRZ God just right back in the rhythm, but can't do it mid-round. Can't do it after that first part of the fight. That's where they fail as a beautiful triple kill comes in. There's no doubt that this guy's one of the best mechanically that plays this character in the world. But the doubt is, can SSG take the mechanical skill? Can they take their kind of enthusiasm and story, and can they apply the stuff that Fnatic and Na'Vi and teams like that do so well, which is just the clinical nature. They never lose a draft. They always make the right calls, and they make calls as a team.
And honestly, for me, it feels like that round, like mid-round decisions, as well as the draft for this one. I mean, when you look at all the champions that are in here, you've got Makoa, Khan, and Maeve, 3 of probably the top band in the PPL champions that we typically see. And 2 of them are on one team. Guima's Academy have a very strong lineup to be able to come back and take anything, to get good kills as long as they're feeling themselves. Whereas Space Station, I feel like, have a slightly higher execution threshold overall using the Drogos. It's just this weird area that, why are you going, like, why let those 2 through of all champions that you could let through?
Yeah, it's a rough one, man. I don't know. If you look at Fnatic, right, obviously this is Bugsy playing the Terminus, and you might have, Fishy and Bittner rocking that Leon and Drogo's combination there. But I don't know if I see Fnatic losing with this matchup. Theola Makoa, you got Jerron Maldamba. It's just like, I don't see, it looks like a 4-0 in my mind. But, not necessarily. Guima's Academy trying to mix things up. I don't mind a team giving things up in the draft to get some things, especially when it hasn't worked so far to do it the way that you've been doing it. So adjustments definitely needed. Maybe not what they want, but again, even though they capture with the comeback mechanic, not able to push it very far at all.
20 seconds, and that payload is pretty much right where it started, and that is probably one of the most telling signs, I want to say, in a matchup. Whether or not you're up 2-0, if you look at this as game number 1, now it's starting to get a little bit of push just because SSG have fallen back, and it's looking like 5 seconds. You're going to spend a majority of this push in overtime if you're even able to hold it that long.
Yeah, and I mean, Dentic is doing a lot for this team, and Androx is not an easy champion to pilot, especially against this new Drogos as well, plus the pressure from Leon, keeping him kind of out of the skies, poking him down, doesn't have the highest of health pools. But again, where's the mistake? It's just Rachel immediately reanimating. You got to save that. Ares going straight into the Ancient Rage. Those are great ultimates. They've got plenty of time. Serpent Beach is not Ice Mines. It's a much shorter map. You can get back and touch the point a lot easier. Just give yourselves a chance to use those ultimates in a way that won't instantly find 0 value.
FRZ God, and that was one of those moments where I was baffled. I want to say, like, I was kind of left without words to see something like that where it comes through. And again, you're looking at this entire round before that with the point capture. Like, man, where's the presence from SSG? It feels like they're not there. And then the minute they capture the point, Homeboy comes in with a 4-kill, 2 double kills in a row. He's 16-3 right now. He is very adept at what he's doing. He's gone for the Apex Predator route, so he's not getting CC'd a lot. He's not getting held in control. and yet he was just kind of missing during that last round, which means for me, SSG this time around, they're going to know, okay, this is what went wrong, and they're not going to let it happen again.
Oh, and this is actually really good. Looking for the accursed arm, but he gets around the corner. Dintic can't quite find the combination with the evil mojo, and immediately gets taken down. But remember, although this time duration has not been decreased thanks to the Apex Predator card in his loadout, he is going to not fly very far. In fact, gets basically tossed up into the perfect position to collapse on the Outlander, and Outlander now has a quandary. Do I fight? Do I run? I've got to keep healing because I'm the sole healer for my team, and a Dragon Punch for FRZ God, not in the works yet, just misses the jump, and so he's going to stay on the low ground. That might have been costly as well for Guimas.
Nada's ult being used just to kind of transport the Drogas, I want to say, from side A to side B really does kind of help out SSG, knowing that they don't have that. Yes, he's going to be able to keep a little bit of that ult charge, but it's not going to make a big enough difference right now. Good shots, but not a lot really being grabbed from Guima.
You know what, and Rachao's animates are just not what the value is being found for. I love that they push at that time. But I would love to see this just isolated. Have a little bit more patience, a little bit more confidence in your team. That is going to really make sure you cannot get punished, especially with people like Khan and Androxus who can just instantly kill a Terminus there. But it's FRZ God who says, listen, Rain Day, stop talking about all that frontline stuff. Talk about me. I'm the one who's getting the kills, making sure that we qualify for LAN. Space Station Gaming have done it. They've taken this week's PGS, and they will now be joining us in July alongside Europe and Clown Fiesta, and the other teams will be qualifying for the rest of this week in the PGS, William. Really exciting stuff.
And honestly, with the way they played it, they're still looking just as strong as they were the last time they were here. A couple of things they maybe need to clean up and kind of work on, but they have plenty of time to kind of polish that out, come through. They'll get here a little bit early, so maybe they can find some good scrims as well.
Only a month. Only a month. I mean, really, it's the 19th today, right? It's literally a month away. And these guys were here a month ago, so it's really not too much time. Hopefully they had some fun summer vacation, did a little dancing in Brazil, and now they can come over here and we'll show them a little bit of, Atlanta hip-hop. We'll do some moves after, of course, the games, after they've played. Space Station Gaming, grab it 3-0 in the finals. That's Brazil, Phase 9, Week 4 finals for you. And, of course, we'll be back with more Paladins action later this afternoon. We've got our PPL starting, a doubleheader for NIP versus Virtus Pro and Mouse Sports coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Europe today. William, what are you expecting out of those matchups?
Honestly, I'm expecting a lot from NIP. I feel like they, again, solid third place that they were last split. They're looking better this split, so I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to do, especially since they're bringing in someone new.
Someone new, yeah. We'll have to wait and see how he ends up performing. It'll be an exciting roster swap for them, as well as an exciting chance to see the rosters of all of these teams and your favorite players at HRX, live, in person, in style, doing a salsa, a merengue, a tango, a binacao. It's probably not even a dance in Brazil, but it sounded close. Okay, November 16th through 18th.
It can be
there.
a dance.
HighResExpo.com, get your tickets. I'm Rain Day, that's Gormizer. We're going to take off for now, but as always, friends, remember to never give up, never stop gaming. We'll see you all in the realm.